What's up, y'all? We are live. What's going on? Let's get to painting. I got with me Michael. Michael, what's good?
So what's up?
Nothing much. Michael, aka Keypalette, in the house, and we're just gonna do a study and just get it going. How's your How's your week been or weekend been? I don't think I've talked to you since like the weekend.
Yeah, what did I do? I
What?
don't even remember. I
What
feel
did
like
you
this
do?
weekend was a blur.
For real,
Yeah.
it kind of feels like that a little bit, but we are here nonetheless. Let me make sure that my
Oh, I
Twitter.
had a job interview on Friday. That's what happened.
Oh shit!
And it didn't go well.
Well, it's like a bad date. It happens, you know. Just
Yeah, I don't know if I told you, but yeah, it was one of those instances where like well intentioned, but she didn't really know what she was doing. So
okay.
uh,
Oh, so it
I
was
had to
her.
like tell her like,
It was her fault.
yeah, I think I did perfectly fine. Like
He
didn't
said,
lie about anything, answered questions, had confidence, wasn't rude, even when she didn't know stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was very professional about it, but she definitely, like, she didn't understand the difference between a concept artist, a character artist, environment artist, a lighting artist.
so the
I'd expect a prop
company.
artist.
So she wasn't like an
Yeah.
artist herself. She was just like
Yeah, she just saw my work and was, like, impressed and thought to reach out
what?
for a job. Yeah.
But she didn't know what your job actually entailed.
Yeah. And on top of that, the position was for a senior concept artist, which, that's a big stretch for me. But
Yeah,
she wanted an interview, so I was like, all right, like,
that's
can't
cool
hurt.
though. So was she
Yeah.
like? So was she in HR then? She wasn't like. She was probably like a hiring manager, right? And then she wasn't like the actual
Yeah.
art director. Yeah, that could
Yeah.
happen
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah, that will happen sometimes when HR like. I mean, their job is just for hiring purposes, but they may not actually have like the qualifications, and that can always be kind of an issue. But it's good though. I mean, I've never had
I
someone
got the
like.
experience.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had someone reach out to me and be like, "Yo, like, you want to interview? Like, what?" I'm like, I gotta like be like, "Yo, like, please help me." So that's pretty cool. So that's good. It's a good warm up.
Yeah,
So
that's how I look at it. It was an experience, and I think I performed well. And this was a bad interview. So the way I look at it is like, okay, then I should be fine during a good interview.
well,
You know
I
what I mean?
wouldn't even consider it a bad
Like I was
interview.
fine.
It's just more so an interview that it didn't lead to a job, but it wasn't a bad interview. It was just that like there was just a miscommunication on what she thought. So I wouldn't even consider it a bad interview. It's like it just didn't work
Okay.
out.
Yeah.
Because a bad interview to me is like you don't know what you're talking about. Like you're just answering questions wrong. You're not gelling. Like clearly like you don't like each other or like it's like those kind of things. Or to me are like bad interviews where it's like I don't want to be here. Clearly like they saw something, but it just turns out what they thought you could do or what they wanted was clearly just like the not either not the right timing or just not the right fit at the moment. So it's one of those things where if you can leave it and you can still like have that contact and say, hey, well, let's talk in the near future,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you can come back to that conversation possibly, then to me it's not a bad interview because it's still kind of building a connection, and if you leave like
Yeah.
a positive experience, maybe one day someone else is asking around and then that's how someone goes, oh, I interviewed this guy. Maybe he might be up your alley because that definitely happens too. So
Yeah. She definitely said like she'll keep me in mind if there's a job that I'm more qualified for.
yeah,
Have her contact, all that stuff. So,
exactly, yeah. So to me that's
but I
very
think she felt a
successful.
little embarrassed
Oh well,
with the vibe I got.
sometimes the hiring managers and stuff are kind of just given these tasks like, hey, find us this, and then they may not know
Mm-hmm.
exactly what that entails, and maybe they don't have time to really find out. But then they have to just go and they're looking and they see your stuff and they go, well, this kind of looks like maybe what we need. Let's interview them, and then you kind of go in and you're like, yeah, I'm not qualified, and you probably are not good to possibly hire me for this. In the future, and that's totally fine, you know. So as long as you're respectful, I think it's a good win-win. And who knows, you might even meet that person one day in person and be like, yo, what's good? And then, you know, it's more connections. So I always keep track. I always try to keep track and stay good with hiring managers. You know, because they can be the ones that definitely be like, oh, hey, you know, we have a project coming up. You know, what's your availability? And that can definitely, you know, once you're on that list, you know, of people they want to contact, that's always a good thing, you know, because there's that list and they kind of just work down it, and there's going to be a time where, you know, you're probably available and other people aren't. So it can definitely happen. Like that already happened to me. Like, you know, someone reached out to me for a thing that I did a long time ago and was like, hey, are you available? And I was like, oh shoot, like, nah, I'm busy. And then they're like, well, you know, who do you think? And I was like, oh, well, you know, I think this person is probably a really good fit for you. Like they're probably available right now. And then boom, Bob's your uncle. So it'd be like that sometimes. So keep it up, dude. That's good. That's really good that you got interviewed on.
Yeah. Just gotta keep applying. I need something to turn into a job though.
No, I hear you.
Patience and effort.
What'd you wear?
I don't have anything like super pro. I guess. Like I didn't like wear a suit. I just you know.
No, don't wear a suit.
Nice.
That would have been funny if you showed up in a suit, like on a Zoom call, like you're just wearing a suit. Like you're like, yo, what's good? Like some Agent Smith shit. Like.
Yeah. I did just get contacts, so I was able to not have to wear glasses.
Oh, okay. You did wear your contacts. I would have liked the glasses look. The glasses look would have worked out okay. If you decide to go that route. But you have plenty more interviews in the future to figure that out, I would assume.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. What was the company for, if you don't mind me asking? You don't have to say the name, but like.
So they wouldn't disclose. That was another weird thing. She was like, "Oh, NDAs, blah blah blah. I can't tell you." It's like, okay. And I asked my other friends. They're like, "That's not a thing." I was like, "All right, well." She didn't seem to know.
Yeah, sometimes they don't tell you until like they're like, "Are you down?" And you're like, "Well, can you tell me about it?" And like, so it can happen sometimes, but it also is very like, it is very unlikely, because normally what they'll do to get around that is they'll make you sign an NDA up front before the interview, so that way they go, oh, you know, this is what we're working on. But there have been some kind of like, I've seen it more from like foreign companies, like Chinese companies, like Asian companies that will kind of do that kind of stuff, and it is kind of weird, to say the least, where I'm like, what? Like, but yeah, not everyone is always like forthcoming as other people, because they're like super paranoid for whatever reason. They're like, yo, you're gonna steal my idea. And I'm like, your idea is trash. I don't want your idea.
Yeah, my thought was like, and this is probably wrong, but what if it was like a one kind of game?
Say that.
And they didn't want.
You kind of.
What if it was like a? Okay.
No, you kind of buy it out for a second. What'd you say? Like.
Yeah. What if it was a company that was like known for making one game? So if you know the company, then you know what game they're working on, like, and they don't want you to know that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there's definitely reasons behind it on why you may want to be like play things close to the chest. So I tend not to judge unless they do something like really shady, where like, you know, they're making you like sign random things, you know, and they're like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do, you know what I mean, like. So yeah. As soon as it starts getting like super weird, then I'm like, okay, like what's going on here, guys? But for the most part, I think people are pretty, you'll probably get those red flags like way before, you know,
Mm-hmm.
before anything, you know, unless they're not like some like African prince and they're asking you to like donate some money before to get the interview. As long as it's not like stuff like that, then I think you're fine. Whoops, hit stop. Sorry, it's my Gurren Lagann theme song music right now. You know, we watched. Speaking of that, Jacqueline, we watched Your Name the other day, and that was pretty good.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, she really liked
I
it.
like that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big, obviously, Makoto Shinkai fan, so yeah, we watched that the other day, and she was all like crying and shit, and she was like, "Oh my god, that was so good!" And like, "Oh my god," it was pretty funny. So yeah, that was a good one. And then I'll probably.
I think I teared up in the theater.
Oh, you saw it in theater? Yeah, we watched it at.
Yeah.
I should have probably saw it in theater. I think when it originally came out, I think Will was telling me about it because he knew I was a big Makoto Shinkai fan, and I think for whatever reason I just didn't get around to watching it. Probably because back then Jacqueline wasn't like normally if I see a movie I have to see it with Jacqueline, and because she's not into anime or she wasn't into anime back then, that's probably why I never saw it because she was probably just like, no, I'm not gonna watch this shit. So yeah, that's, if I had to guess, that's probably why I never saw it in the thing. But overall, I'm glad I watched it. It means I have to watch the new one that they have, the Weathering You one. That's the one that I haven't seen yet, but I would like to. So yeah, definitely some catching up I have to do on anime. And then I watched a couple episodes of Samurai Champloo just because. So I'm like, but we were on Brotherhood, so we probably have to get back to that soon.
Yeah, I got a few friends watching Brotherhood right now. Actually, funny enough.
Yeah. So, or actually, we're not even on Brotherhood. We're on just like the regular one. So yeah, so we'll probably get back to that soon, and then we'll see what's good.
What if you had to answer the question? What do you think is the best anime of all time? Like, what would that be for you?
For me, I would still kind of put like Cowboy Bebop in that in terms of like just from start to finish. It's just like are just really solid in terms of the character designs, in terms of just the overall, the small stories mixed with the overarching stories. I think it's really hard to top that one in my opinion. The main problem with a lot of animes, which is why I don't even watch a lot of animes anymore, is because a lot of them just drag themselves on just for the sake of dragging them on. And to me, like, I usually know it's going to be a good anime if it's, like, short. Because, like, they've already kind of, like, thought out, like, how it's going to end. And I feel like a lot of times people don't consider that. They just, like, all right, it's, like, the 33rd season, and these characters were kids, and now they're literally adults and, like, old. And, like, you know what I mean? It's just really hard to tell a good story that is like focused and not convoluted. And so for me, that's why I think I'm a huge Shinichiro Watanabe fan, because I feel like a lot of his stuff just have conclusions, which kind of sucks in a way because like the characters are so like you like them and you want them to kind of continue just to have these random stories of like things that you can watch later on, but it's like nah, it ends like that was it, like that dude died and that was the end of the story, and you're like damn, like I really wish like there was like a season 5 or season whatever, and it's like nah, like it's just that's what it is. And so that's why I feel like those kind of ones are so good, because they're not afraid to end. It's the reason why like I like Breaking Bad a lot too. Breaking Bad is one of my favorite like shows. It's less, you know, it's not anime related. But again, I just like how there was like a clear ending or a clear kind of like conclusion to all the craziness. So that's probably mine, like personally. But I understand why people may like prefer other things. Like again, Gurren Lagann, the same thing, only 2 seasons. Samurai Champloo, you know, there's clearly kind of a trend in terms of like the ones that I like.
Yeah.
In terms of just like why I like them. And yeah, again, I think a big thing is like being able to tell a story, beginning, middle, end, and not convolute it. And that isn't to say that you can't find a good story that does have it go like 30 seasons or whatever. But I just think about even like regular shows that I watch now. Like my wife watches like Grey's Anatomy and stupid shit like that, and it's like you can tell like they're just running out of ideas, and like the show should have ended like eons ago. But because like there's just a lot of money attached to it, they're just like, well, what if like they didn't get married? And you're just like, wait, what? Like we're gonna do a whole like separate universe? Like what in the Marvel universe is going on here? You're like, this doesn't make any sense, guys. Like why are we doing this? And it's like because you're out of ideas, and like you're just like, well, what if he didn't die? You're just like, bro, come on now. So yeah, that's my opinion on your animes. I'm not sure what your favorite ones are.
Yeah, there's no wrong answers. I think there's different criteria. So I think the best ongoing anime is One Piece. It is the most popular, but it's also like it hits all the points, like good story, huge character development, immense world, action, drama, uh, what's the word? Emotional. Like it can make you cry at points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really good. But that's like I can't. The reason I can't give that best anime of all time is because it's just too long. It's too much of a commitment for people. Because usually, for my criteria, if you're gonna say best anime of all time, it means it's kind of like a must watch, and One Piece is not a must watch because of its length.
I
Um,
mean, I think One Piece is definitely a must watch too. But yeah, I would agree that because of the length, like it
it's a big
definitely
ask.
it's a big ask for people to want to get into it. I mean, people have said, yo, like tell your wife to watch One Piece, and I'm like, bro, like that is that is a very huge commitment for someone very early on to watch, despite it being good. Because I actually like One Piece, but I'm just like, yeah, it's just
Yeah,
like there's too much for a person to handle there, and yeah, that's probably the reason why I don't put it in that category, despite it being very good.
exactly. So you know what I'm saying. So I think that for best anime, Gurren Lagann was really good. I don't remember all of it, so I can't really say. But the one that's freshest in my mind was Code Geass. Have you seen that?
Code Geass, Code Geass.
Yeah, Code Geass.
Yeah, I've only seen a little bit of it. I've never seen all of it. Trying to think. I don't think I got into it, but I don't remember why. I think I think it might have just been a time thing. I just think I had been busy at the time. But maybe I should
Mm.
revisit it.
I recommend it, man. It was without spoiling it. It has one of the best endings in anime.
How many seasons is there, Code Geass?
There's 2 seasons. It's I think 50 episodes. It's about this.
Okay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
will. I will check it out then. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely give it a check it out. Again, also
Yeah.
the reason why I really like Cowboy Bebop 2 was just also um, their dedication to the music is really really important to me. Like the soundtrack
Mm.
has to be like really really solid, and I think that things like Gurren Lagann do that really well as like Cowboy Bebop, probably the best music in an anime, probably like ever. In terms of just like the sound design, like when they chose certain things, like it's like really really good. Um, so that's why it's like it's hard for me to choose another one. Because even like Samurai Champloo, even though it is hip hop, I still the story wise, I still like don't give it. It's not as good as like Cowboy Bebop, but the music is so good that that's why I put it up there. That you're like, dude, this is like super good. Um, yeah, it's music has to be really good. If the music's trash, like the soundtrack's trash, then I'm like, dude, I can't watch this. Which is a really weird thing for me because music is only like a small part of it.
Yeah, it's pretty particular.
But it does really
But I
set
understand it.
it does really set the tone though. I feel like of a film when it's done correctly, and so That's why I kind of really hold like Cowboy Bebop in high regard, because the music is a part of its theming. You know, like Cowboy Bebop,
Yeah.
like bebop is a type of jazz, and the music really reflects that throughout it. You know, it's like this mixture of like space opera and jazz, where like where Samurai Champloo, right, is like it's samurais and hip hop. You know, because Champloo means to mix. So it's like I like how when animes like everything kind of revolves around that theme, you know. Like so, that's why I think like Cowboy Bebop does really really well, right? It's like space bounty hunters with jazz, and it's like everything always kind of revolves around those things. And then obviously Shampoo is like it's like samurai hip hop, and there's always these little elements being mixed in of hip hop, even though it takes place in like Edo, Japan. I think stuff like that is
Yeah, and graffiti,
yeah, and
breakdancing.
graffiti. Yeah, and I think that stuff is like super cool when it's done because it's very there's a lot of things that are very very subtle. What's up, Jonah? Janelle, Kobos in the house. What's going on? Yeah, I really yeah. So I think like when I look at it as a whole, like execution, story, music, design, like it's really really hard for me to put something above Cowboy Bebop. If that's what we're measuring, like uh, it's really
Complete.
really hard.
We're measuring by. Let me be clear. We're measuring by complete package, right?
Yeah,
So finished,
complete package
and
finished. Yes.
something that you could recommend, and you're wholeheartedly like, yo, this is one of the best. It hits every mark. It's like a must watch.
Yeah, then Cowboy Bebop 100%, like 1,000% actually, in terms of like
Mm.
even like the story, voice acting, the characters, the simplicity of it. Yet it's complex. Yeah, that thing hits like so many marks. And again, like, and that one's like super old too, and I still feel like I can watch that, and like everything like still holds up, like from animation to like the voice, the design, the music. It's just like it's like really good. And I'm like, dude, this thing like still holds up. Like after all these years, like, I can still watch this, and it's like just legit. And so it's hard to. I would even put Gurren Lagann maybe a little bit in that category of something that can like hold up pretty well. But I don't know yet. Like even though it's like just around the same time, I have to watch a couple more times. But even Gurren Lagann is just like a huge like joyride of a movie in terms of like you're like, dude, what like um that's how I knew something was onto it because when Jacqueline first stopped watching it, all she said was, "Man, like that was a wild ride." Like that's what she said, and I was like, "Yeah, it kind of is." And like now that I think about it, she was just like, "That was just like crazy." So it's yeah, Cowboy Bebop is still kind of in that. I still hold it in that regard. It's really hard for me to find one that isn't that. But I'm curious if other people have other. If people are in the chat, I have 3 viewers there. How many viewers do you have right here? I don't think we're being live streamed yet, so we're good. So we're chilling. We're safe. It's a safe space. Safe space to
Paint some trees.
to paint some trees and just hang out. So that's always good. I know people are getting all kinds of crazy some NFT stuff going on right now because Ross Tran like did some and now like he's getting like yelled at. It's crazy.
Oh, really?
Well, there's like a new one that came out that apparently is like eco-friendly. It's like apparently it's way more like energy efficient. So it's like a new type of like I don't know, it's like a coin or something like that. I don't know what it is, but a new platform was just released, and I guess they're like, yeah, this is way more like efficient. Like it's like 90% more efficient in terms of like the energy consumption. So I guess to me, I was like, oh, that's a good thing. Like that was the main issue that people were kind of like, what the f?
Throwing a fit about.
Yeah, throwing a fit about. So then he's like, okay, cool. Like I wanted to do it, but obviously I didn't want to. That was a huge issue. But now we have ones that are like 90% more efficient, and it's like this cool graph or whatever. And they were like, nah, son, like we don't care. We still don't care. And I was like, well, then I guess at that point, like they're just never gonna be happy at that point, because nothing's ever gonna be like 100% efficient. It's everything, right? From using this computer to whatever is gonna cost something. So I was like, that was kind of like, I just realized now that like there's no way someone can ever do it and like not get like extreme kind of like hate, which is kind of crazy. And we're even
I
seeing
assumed this.
Yeah, I kind of assumed it too, but like it's really weird too of how like it's definitely the one thing I don't like about it is that it's definitely disproportionate towards women, which is like really messed up. People will like
Oh, really?
yeah, like if a woman does it, a female artist does it, like they'll get hella like hate, you know? Like they will get like almost like borderline death threats, like get some really mean things sent to them. And it definitely kind of has like this kind of incel vibe for sure. And I don't know why, but um yeah, it's crazy. Like I've seen but I also think too it probably comes from a position of power, I would feel like too. Cuz I feel like as long as you're like not an art director, if you're not an art director, then people will kind of just say whatever they want to you, and it's kind of nuts. Um, and so I wonder if that has to do with the fact that like it's still like a connection, you know, where like some of like the female streamers, they're kind of like I can say whatever I want and who cares because like they're not in a position of power. Whereas like I've seen a lot more kind of like male like art directors and stuff like that like post stuff about it openly and no one says anything. Like a good example of that is like John Park. Like no one says anything to John Park, which is fine. But then a part of me is like, I think it's because like it's John Park, right? It's like he's the man. So I'm wondering. I'm starting to see this correlation between how bold some people are in terms of just being really disrespectful. It's pretty crazy. So I've come to the conclusion now that yeah, there's definitely no way people walk away from that stuff like without being like extremely like yelled at. It's kind of crazy. So, and people are just
That's
trying.
really unfortunate.
I mean, it is because again, it's like that was the main issue, like you said, right? It's like, well, we don't want it because it's it's bad for the environment, and it's like, all right, well, here's one that's good. And they're like, yeah, but it's still stupid. Like it's still a scam. It's still this and that. Like you still shouldn't be doing it anyway. And then it's like, okay, but then I still gave you what you wanted. Like you still whatever. And they're like, well, then I'm not following you anymore. And then it becomes this whole thing of like, well, you have this many followers and you're doing this and that, so why do you even need to do it? And I think that's the misconception that we all got to get past too, is that following count does not mean shit. Like I don't know why people think this for whatever reason. Like if you have followers, then that means like you're making millions of dollars or that you're good, and that's a hard one. That's a hard one to kind of like get people out of for whatever reason. Like think about it this way. I have more followers than John Park. John Park is way better than me, like objectively, like better than me. Even though I have twice as many followers as that guy. You know what I mean?
I didn't know you had more followers.
Yeah, I have more followers than John Park on Twitter, but he's way better than me objectively. Like if you go on Twitter, like I forget what his follower count is, and I'm like, does that mean I'm better than John Park? Hell no, right?
Well, actually, didn't he just make his Twitter when this NFT stuff started? So
No, I don't think so. I think he's had it for a minute. I just don't think he actively like uses it.
But that's not the point. That's not the point you're making. Anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. So it's just like there's no, for all accounts and purposes, like there's some of the best artists are on Twitter, and they don't have crazy followings, and so that doesn't mean shit. And then there's also like the weird thing too that we got to talk about that I think needs to be discussed too is that that rule that I always tell you is never count other people's money. Is you never know what someone's going through financially, so it's best not to ever assume. So we gotta get out of this weird thing of like, oh, you have 5,000 Patreon members, so like you're a millionaire or you're making this much money, like you don't need to be doing that. Which is also like a very silly thing to ever assume about anyone, is to go there and be like, yo, like you're making this much money, like therefore like you don't have to, you shouldn't be doing this. Because again, you could be paying for your parents, you could be trying to make a big financial move for yourself for more independence. Like you really never know like what someone's really going through. Someone could have a medical condition that you don't know about. Like, there's a lot of things like that. Again, people just kind of assume, and it's really, really weird. That art Twitter, like, should of all people, art Twitter should probably realize this. Like, that exposure doesn't pay the bills, you know. So it's like you have more exposure from more followers, yes, but exposure does not pay the bills, right? If I said, hey Michael, like, thanks for helping me on my stream, I'll pay you by sharing some of your work, right? You would be like, bro, like, what? Like, that doesn't help.
I'd rather you just not pay me.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, why are you just not pay? Just say you're not gonna pay me, bro. Right? And then now I know where I stand. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like that. It's kind of crazy. Like, people just like don't. I'm like, the people that should understand this like the most, like, for whatever reason, do not understand it, and I don't know like what the alternative is. And it's definitely sad to see everyone like at odds, I guess, is probably the best way to describe it. Like, people are definitely just are definitely like,
it's super unfortunate. It's dividing the community. It's showing people are showing their true colors. It's awful in a lot of ways. And as soon as like any controversy started about the environment, I called bullshit day one. Like, first time I heard it, I was like, no, there ain't no way that these people actually care and are throwing a fit over environmental impacts over art. It's not happening. I don't believe it. You can't convince me of it. You keep linking me this stupid blog post. It's a blog post. It's not a cited study. Okay. And if you had that same energy, then why don't you like put that towards actual environmental impacts, like oil and gas corporations, or if you care about like tech, what about the Teslas and the battery farms, or like tons of things, right? Like, there's so many other places you could put your anger. No, you're just jealous. You're jealous that somebody that maybe you even consider yourself better than is getting money off of a new thing.
Well, I can see the appeal of why they don't do that, because I guess I can see it from the sense that people look at it and go, well, I can't message Elon Musk because, right, he's not going to listen to me, but the person that I watch stream all the time, you know, might listen to whatever I have to say. So I feel like there's definitely that, like, well, it's a lost cause to try to like email my senator or my person, but maybe the person that I feel connected to because I, you know, engage with them on Twitter and I follow their Patreon, that I can say, hey, you know what, if you don't do what I like, then I'm going to, you know, I'm going to unfollow you. I'm going to, you know, I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, which is totally fine. And I totally agree with, like, if you don't like something, then yeah, then unfollow and speak with your money. But what I don't agree with is, like, there's definitely like a little bit of like the harassment, a little bit of disrespect that like I'm not okay with. Where I'm like, okay, like, if you don't want something, you can just leave. Like, that's like, you can always just leave and that's it. Like, it doesn't have to be like this weird, like, I need to like make it known. Like, I kind of equate it to the person on Facebook that's like, I'm leaving Facebook. And I'm like, you could just leave Facebook. Yeah. You could just leave Facebook. Like, I left Facebook. I didn't make like a big announcement about it. I just left. And like, I'm never on it. And then I'll post, like, I posted art recently, and I was like, yeah, I haven't been on here very often. Like, cool. Like, and that was it. Even though like I haven't been on it for like probably months. And it's like, yeah, you just leave. Like, you don't have to sit there. But I think there's this weird thing where it's like, I gotta leave and you gotta know that I leave, so that you will be like, please don't leave. And then I think when people don't say anything, they're like, okay, cool, yeah, that's fine. They're like, what? Like, you sell out, like, you never loved me. And it's like, what? It's like, I don't think it's ever been about that. Like, I think people, I think this is also like a weird thing with streaming too. It's like, because streaming, like, you can feel connected to someone a lot more. I think that's why we love streamers, right? Because we feel like, oh, we're there with them, you know, we're watching them kind of grow. That all of a sudden when they do something we don't want to, it's like, oh, I feel like I can touch that person and like tell them like, hey, like, what you're doing is bad, you know. And so it's a really weird it's a really weird thing that I think it stems from that. It stems from like us thinking that like, oh, we really know someone because I watch them twice a week, you know, on a stream. When in reality, like you probably don't know anything about their actual life. So I think there's that issue with it. But yeah, the disrespect is kind of weird, and then also like the public harassment in terms of like, oh, I'm gonna steal your art, so fuck you. And it's like, wait, what? Like, how does that make you like? How is that like a good thing? Like, how is that an appropriate response to someone that like you say that you like? Is you're like, oh, I'm gonna steal their stuff, and then just like tell them I'm stealing it and just laugh at them. And it's like clearly they're doing it for like financial stuff, right? And for again reasons that you don't know. And then you're like, haha, like I took your stuff, and then you're encouraging other people to steal their stuff, and just be like, haha, and then just like it's a really weird thing. I'm like, how is that like the high road at all? It's a very weird time right now for like that I'm noticing that's like a very like toxic thing with art Twitter, which makes me realize I'm like I never want like AJ like fame ever. As soon as if I ever hit those many followers, I'm deleting it.
You gotta do like it. AJ doesn't interact with them.
Yeah, but I mean,
he has in the past, but like I haven't heard him say anything about harassment.
Oh yeah. He obviously learned now to like just do art and then that's it. But there was a time where like unwarranted, I mean warranted in a way, yes, because he didn't do well with his book, but he was trying to make right on it, and even when he was making right on it, and even when he was like actively like oh like this issue has been solved, people were still actively trying to come for his job. It was like, how can you let this person like work here? And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, remember those times where we're just like, this has anyone? Yeah. Like, he's like, yeah, we're like, that one guy would go and just be like, yo, how does this guy have a job? This is BS. And then we go onto the thread and I'm like, has anyone not received their book? Like, because this should have been like a thing that's been resolved. And everyone's like, yeah, I received mine. And it's like, and then have you received yours? And it's like, oh, yeah, I received mine. But yeah, but why is he still working? It's like, wait, what? So like, he made a mistake and it's been rectified and no one's gotten hurt. Like, so then why are we still talking about this, right?
What's the issue?
Yeah. And it's like, I see that kind of like vibe from other people of like, well, I still think this man shouldn't be successful still. Like, he should not be thriving. He should like, his mistake should just like ruin him and his family. And you're like, all right, that's a little much. Like, mistakes were made and he admitted and he apologized and then he fixed it. Like, cool. Like, it's not like he sexually harassed someone or like, you know what I mean? Like something that's like criminal offense. It was like he was late on a book. Okay, cool. Right? And then of course I
didn't overrist it. Exactly.
And so then it's like one of those things where it's like, well, you know, that money, I needed that money. And it's like, okay, how much did you pay? I paid $30. And I'm like, what? And he's like, oh, I thought you paid like $500, something like that. And it's like, no, I only paid $30, but that's still money that I could have used. Like, this is bullshit. And I'm like, bro, what? Like, okay, hold on. Like,
you can get your $30 right now.
Yeah, that happened actually. That was like, a guy was like,
I helped with the emails. There's so many times that happened.
Yeah, there's been times where I literally gave a guy $30 out of my pocket, and I was like, oh, like, give me your wire information. Like, I will wire you this information like right now. Like, if you shut up and like leave me alone. Like, I will wire you $30 to like just to shut the fuck up. And of course, like, once you do that and they have no reason to complain, it's like they just sit there and they're just like, wait, what? Like, you know, like, this was my thing. Like, this was my way to vent anger.
Identity, dude.
Yeah, this was my identity. And then when you take that away from them, it's like they're just like, they just get really, really crazy. And I think that's kind of what's happening now, right? Because the first thing is like, oh, well, it's environmental impact. You're like, okay, cool. Well, look at this. We're now finding ways to get rid of that. And they're like, what? And they're like, dude, this is stupid. Like, it's still dumb though. Like, F you. And you're like, wait, what? Like, I gave you what you wanted. Like, I literally gave you like I fixed the issue that you had with it. And it's like, nah, you're still lame. I hate you. And I'm like, all right, well then F. Like, we're never gonna be over this. And it's like it's a really funny thing to kind of sit in the back, like kind of just watching through the bushes, and it's crazy. And then there's also like they're also doing botting, which is really messed up. Is they're doing like fake DMC harassment too. I don't know if you know about that. Like they're getting people to just file a bunch of just DMC claims that are not real, and then their account gets suspended for like a week until they can clear it. So it's like essentially kind of just flagging it, like spamming someone, you know, saying like, oh, like they're hacking, but they're not. And if you get enough people to do it, right, then eventually the algorithm, right, it just goes like, okay, we got to suspend you while we look into it. And then all of a sudden you don't have access to your account. And then they're like, dude, I can't get my account, and they just laugh. They're just like, ah ha ha, like that's what you get for, you know, for trying to like make money off your art. I'm just like, whoa, what? Like, how is that okay? Like, you're messing with someone's livelihood. And so it's really kind of just showing like some weird colors, like again on the outside looking in, that I'm just like, bro, people are insane, 100%. And I'm just like, I'm gonna chill here. And
well, that's part of why I like I said before, my first take was that it was BS, the outrage, and then you're kind of proving my point by saying like, okay, there's this, we solved the problem, like here's this one that's doesn't have the environmental impact like you guys claim to care about, and you're still getting harassed and bullied, and it's all the same. So it's like, okay, you clearly, like, it was never about that to begin with. You're just either jealous, jaded, or mad at yourself. And it's okay to be like jealous. It's okay to be mad at yourself. It's okay, but like don't put that on someone else. Like, for example, I'm sure there's plenty of artists out there who like maybe they're equally skilled as somebody else, but they didn't put in the effort to like build up their clout in their social media, so they can't capitalize like others on this NFT stuff, because that's a big part of it. And like that frustrates them. They're like, oh man, like I'm better than so and so and they're making money, and like now you're mad.
Yeah, I definitely can kind of feel that vibe, but I think where we have to kind of also be like really like open with ourselves is like, yes, there are some people that probably just came onto the platform just for that, and now they have more followers than you. Like, cool. But at the same time, like, we have to be really honest, or I have to be honest with myself and be like, yeah, like, their art's a lot better than mine. Like, Jamie Jones joined the platform strictly for NFT stuff, and he's killing it. And I'm like, yeah, like, it's Jamie Jones. Like, I don't, and that definitely can probably sting a little bit, because you're like, bro, I've been trying to like, you know, build my following for like how long, and this guy just comes in and just like just comes in and just dunks on everybody, and it's like, okay, cool, but it's also like, yeah, that's kind of how it works when you're like really good. And so I think there's also this weird conception of like people just don't like that idea that what was supposed to kind of see like, oh, like what's supposed to kind of be like, oh, like anyone can kind of make money from this, and it's like, nah, you still have to be good. And I think the people that are not good like thought of this thing as like, oh, it costs money to do, oh, and you have to be good, oh, and you have to like have a following in order to kind of like, you know, sell yourself. It's like, yeah, that's always kind of been the case, so I'm not sure why people are so mad about it now. You know what I mean? And I think, yeah, obviously exactly. Now it's because there's clearly like mass amounts of money to be made, obviously. And I think, I mean, granted, there's that whole like, okay, pump and dump and whatever people want to talk about. But from all the people that I've talked to, that I know that personally do it, they all have made money for themselves, and it's helped them out like immensely. From not having to like take on like toxic jobs, from them being able to leave jobs, like it's kind of crazy. What some people have been able to do. And so, yeah, it's definitely really weird to see people like just so mad about it and very toxic. Another thing people are doing is they're sicking bots on their post to steal their work, which is even really messed up. I'm just like, bro, come on. Like, why? Like, that is not a cool thing to do at all. So if you comment a certain phrase on someone's post, it will create a bot to then sell it online to take that piece of artwork and sell it online, like as a print.
What?
Yeah,
That's a thing.
yeah, it's a thing, and there are people in like an active threads like just doing that, and I'm like, that is not how you should be treating ever like your fellow artists. Like it's already hard enough out here, and your solution to I don't like what this person is doing is to encourage like a bot to come in and hack and take their work and sell it online against their like permission. You know what I mean? And we already all hate that when that happens, in general, right? When someone takes your work and is selling it online without permission, and it's like, how is that eco-friendly, right? If someone's like buying your print in mass, like, how is that the right thing to do? You know what I mean? And like that's messed up too. So then people just laugh at it. They're just laughing. They're just like, ah, like we got you. I'm just like, what the hell?
That's what you get for trying to make money.
That's what you get for trying to make money. We're gonna steal your work, and then we're also gonna DMC strike
and
you.
then we're gonna make money, and then we're not gonna get in trouble for doing the same thing you're doing.
Yeah, and I'm just like, bro, what? Like, are we? I like watching this like unfold. I'm like, dude, am I in like the Twilight Zone right now? Because this is some like crazy, like messed up things that should not be like happening at all. And so yeah, it's
Has
crazy.
this turned you off from the scene? Because you were gonna jump in.
I mean, yeah, I thought about it, and I thought about waiting, obviously, until like things possibly got better. But then, like, I got really excited when I heard some news about a new platform that was like, I guess, proven to be efficient. And now I'm like, shit. Like, granted, like, I don't really care, but like, I think there's this weird thing too that people think like, oh, me unfollowing you, I'm gonna show you by unfollowing you, and it's like, okay, first of all, like, I didn't have followers to begin with, so like I don't care if I lose followers. So there's that whole issue. That's a whole other situation. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna unfollow you, and I'm like, all right, then unfollow me. Like, I just got followers last year from some random tweet that went viral, like some random art post that went viral. Like, I will be fine. Like, I've been surviving without followers for God knows how long. So this idea that oh, I'm gonna unfollow you as I'm gonna come groveling back to you. I'm like, what? Like, I don't even know how this works. And so yeah, there's this weird thing that people think too of like, oh, like, you know, we're gonna like ban you from like from like getting a job. We're gonna like blacklist you. I'm like, you're not even in a position of hiring anybody. Like, what are you talking about? So there's like that kind of weird thing too that's kind of going on. So it does kind of turn me off to it, but I mean, we'll have to see how things kind of turn out. But more so is what turns me off isn't necessarily that, it's just the way people are treating each other, like in very kind of like malicious ways. That's like, you're definitely going to hurt people in a way that you may not have intended, and that definitely needs to be like kind of talked about in terms of just like the level of like how personal people are getting in terms of attacking other people. It's very cringy. It's very weird, especially women. Again, I like seeing some women like be messaged some really kind of like messed up, like aggressive, like stalkerish kind of like things where like you kind of like fear for your safety. It's definitely like, okay, we've definitely crossed some lines, and we need to find a place where we can talk about this or like work it out, which in today's society probably not gonna happen. But it definitely is unfortunate to kind of see, like, I'm definitely waiting to see some of these people. I just hope they keep that same energy at like Lightbox, you know, like in person.
Yeah, events like that.
Yeah, like if you was talking shit to me, like you better come to my table and say that shit to my face so we can talk about it. Like, that's all that I gotta say about that, because there's definitely some very keyboard warrior energy there, and I'm like, in some places you would get smacked, you would get knocked out for talking like that to some people. So I'm definitely like, as long as you keep that same energy in person, it's cool. Because like that used to be the same thing with AJ, right? Some people would talk so much stuff, and then when things are in front of them, they're like, "Hey man, will you sign my book?" I'm like, what the fuck? Like, are you talking about? Like, you just
like, keep that same energy.
Yeah, like you were just talking shit like a minute ago. Like, and I that's one thing I hate. I hate that kind of fake stuff. Which is probably why normally I'm just quiet in general, like when it comes to like industry things. But that's like probably my biggest pet peeve is someone like talking mess behind someone's back, And then when you see them in person, they're just like, yo, what's good, man? Like, how are you, dude? And then just walk away and be like, can you believe that guy? I'm like, what is this, Mean Girls? Like, what are we doing? Like, come on now. So I hope that this stuff gets like resolved for sure. Because right now I'm just like, I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy. It's like it's really really disheartening to see how freaking mean people are, dude. People are mean. I thought I was mean. Like, I'm mean, but I'm funny. Let's be real here. You can be mean as long as you're funny. It's not even funny. It's like you're just mean. Like, you're like, bro, it's mean. Like, even I have my limits where I'm like, you can be mean as long as it's funny, and I'm like, there's not anything funny about any of this. You're just like, like, it's just cringeworthy. So yeah, I hope the people that will talk to the people will realize that, yeah, your follower count does not mean anything. I wish it did, honestly. I really wish it did. I wish that, like, having followers, they would be like, yo, you got 12K followers, I'm gonna give you 20 grand. I'd be like, what? Hell yeah. But it's not the case. Cause yeah, if you told me, like, I wish it was like a YouTube subscription, right? When you reach like 20, you get a plaque and you just get like a check. Man, that'd be so tight.
Yeah.
Nah, dude. You just have 20 people you just have 20K followers that just yell at you all the time now. That feel like they can now like tell you what to do. Man, I'm not liking this study. I gotta restart this one. You know what? I'm gonna start smaller here, actually. I'm gonna keep the study, actually, but I'm gonna start smaller. And that's what I'm gonna do. But yeah, so it's definitely interesting. It's definitely really interesting to see people's colors, man, come out. And I think it's a pandemic thing too, as well. I wonder if the pandemic has definitely changed our discourse, like people just being at home and just like mad all the time.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, there's that one guy that got you see that one guy that got arrested at the insurrection thing? He got caught, obviously, and it was like pretty obvious, like cut and clear, dry case. And then so he's like on trial, right? And the lawyers were like, oh no, like, you know, the reason why is because he got fired and he was at home. So he's on the internet all day, just looking at all these, like, you know, fake news things, and he got riled up. Like, it's not his fault. It's he called it Fox News-itis. And so, like, that's his defense. I don't think it's gonna work, but like, that's what they were blaming it on. He's like, yeah, because I was at home, I got let off from my job, and you know, just at home, just I got radicalized. You know, that was his thing. And I wonder, like, whether you're right or left, I don't really care, but like, I wonder if there's a similar thing for artists, like, during the pandemic, right? Because like, they're just kind of sitting at home, right? Some people may have been laid off from their job, which is really unfortunate. And I wonder if that then just creates like that, you know what I mean? Like, they're just like, I need something to be angry at.
Ugh. I'm allergic to bullshit excuses.
I know, but like, and again, I get it. Everyone's going through it, right? And so, again, as much as that, yeah, right, it could be a bullshit excuse. I'm sure there probably is some truth to that. Like, people are just naturally just angry, and rightfully so, right?
Yeah.
Like how things have been handled have been kind of shitty.
There's a lot of things to get angry about, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like, what the reasoning is, like, that energy doesn't need to be expressed onto those that it is being right now.
Yeah.
Like, don't attack these artists. Like, if anything, most artists like want you to succeed. Like, they want those people that are being attacked right now. Like, they would want you to also have similar success, a career, get good at art, all that shit. Like, we're in an industry that's a lot about helping each other up, not kicking each other down. And you know, I think maybe some people are forgetting that.
I mean, yeah, it definitely takes a village for people to be successful in this industry. Like, 100%. Like, so many people have helped me. And I think maybe that's what it is too. Like, maybe a lot of these artists, these people that are mad, are like, well, I supported you. You know, I supported you when you didn't have anybody or whatever. So how dare you do this thing that like, you know, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, you may have supported them, but like they still did the work. Like they were still up all night painting and practicing. You know, like it's like they still did it. So it's it's really weird of like what people consider like how much they take credit for someone else's success. You know what I mean? It definitely feels like that a little bit of like I was there in the beginning, so therefore like you doing this really hurts me. I'm like, okay, like yeah, but like, and even then too, like the funny part is I feel like too the same people that are complaining about it are the same people that won't buy a print from that artist either, which is really weird. Because I'm like, the same people complaining are the same people that are gonna pirate my shit, which is like kind of.
I guess that's a different.
Yeah, it's just like, well, like it's one of those things where like one artist recently, you know, came out with a piece, you know, and he was getting so much slack for it, right? Because they're like, you have so many followers, you should just sell prints, man. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then someone asked and said, how many of you guys actually own this guy's prints? And like, no one said anything, right? And so it's like, yeah, like clearly he's in a position where he probably has to do that because he's not getting in enough like kind of stuff. So it's like, I think there's this thing of like, oh, like, oh, someone else will buy it. So it's like, well, no, like, you're in the same boat as everybody else. And so I think there's this misconception too that like, oh, I thought he was making bank, and it's like, nah, son, like he's just like everybody else. So people definitely, again, is that idea of like, don't count other people's money. Like that kind of happened with like soccer actually randomly, you know. There was that discrepancy of like of soccer of equal pay, you know, and people were complaining and whatever. And I remember being in a conversation, and I'm like, all right, how many of you guys have actually been to a game? And like none of them raised their hand. I'm like, how much of you guys actually own a jersey? And it's like none of them raised their hand. And I'm like, you don't see the issue here, like, like we're complaining about stuff, or you're complaining about things, but when it comes to actually supporting it, like none of you guys are like actually doing anything. Because I'm like, because I've been to games and I own a bunch of jerseys. Like, what are you guys doing to help fix the problem, right? If it's so much about like, oh, just do this, just do that. Like, how many of you guys are actually buying prints, right? And the answer is not that many. And so I think that we have to talk about that as well. Is like, there's a lot of kind of like, how do I support for free, and like through exposure? And you're like, it doesn't help me, dude.
Well, you can start by shutting the hell up about this NFT stuff and let me do my business. That's
yeah, I mean, let people. I mean, let it see where it goes. I mean, clearly it's the fact that people came out with that stuff so quickly too. Like a more efficient thing. It definitely shows like, oh, it's probably gonna be here for a minute. So you definitely need to figure out how to coexist. Because I'm tired of like seeing it in my profile of just people just like just being mad all the time. And they're like, I'm leaving. I'm like, just leave, dude. It's like, it's cool. Come back when you're ready. But I guess that means that more time for you to focus on your stuff, dude, you know? Like, more time to do you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not worried about NFTs personally. I'm glad people are out there making money. I'm glad that it exists, and I hope it stays for a while because it's something that should be looked at as a potential thing to get into later in your career. Like the way I look at it, it's not a priority, but it would be nice to have like something, an avenue of, how do you explain this? I guess an avenue of worth and a way to make money later once I've developed my work further and I've built a following and clout and all that for the right reasons. Because like I do want to teach at some point. Like I want to do the same thing that you and AJ have done when it makes sense. Like make gumroads, teach a class at a school maybe, mentorship, just pay it forward, you know what I mean? Give it back.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing that's good when you can pay it forward And it definitely seems like a lot of the artists that are doing this kind of stuff too are very open about it too, which is very very nice of them. But yeah, we definitely need to figure out this discourse of like level of like respect. And yeah, it's really weird topic. All right, back to anime. Back to
Anime.
back to anime. Back to why Cowboy Bebop is the best, 100%. And that's life. I want to go back to when we used to argue about normal things, like why Transformers is bad, and those kind of things. It's crazy how.
I watched I've been watching movies every weekend, so we're doing movie night on Sweaty Painters.
Yeah, I saw you guys were watching like Fast and the Furious the other day.
Yeah, I've been going through the Fast and Furious movies. We're supposed to watch Twilight and do a drinking game, but
it
hasn't happened yet.
You're gonna watch that?
Yeah, we're gonna drink. It's gonna be like a drinking game.
Oh, so you're gonna be freaking hammered. I tried to watch it, like don't get. I really did. Like I tried to like within like a half hour. I was like, what is this chick doing?
That's what everyone's telling me, dude. It says it's gonna be cringe. So
I was like, what are you doing? Like, what is going on here now? And yeah, it is definitely just a lot of just like tension, and no one ever does anything about it. It's like, come on, bro. Like, you got to shoot your shot. Like, stop freaking sitting here, just waiting for nothing to happen. Yeah, it's a lot of tension, and just not. It's the equivalent of like you going to a club, and there's probably like that big techno beat drop, and then like it just never happens. It's just like you're like, yo, when's like, oh, here comes the drop, dude. Like, oh, it's gonna come. It's like psych, and you're like, okay, next one, and you're like, yo, here it comes. Here comes the drop, and then they're like, psych, and it's just like 5 movies of that, and you're like, the drop isn't coming, is it? And they're like, I don't know, maybe this could be the one, dude. And they're like, psych, it's not this.
I don't know. Come back for this.
Come back for the next one, dude. Like, it's gonna go down. It's really funny in that regard of me like watching it, because like for some reason my wife was watching it, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, wait, so why do people like this? And she's just like, oh, because it's like, it's like all this like teenage like drama stuff, and I was like, I get that, but no, like, but why? And like she's like, I don't know, to be honest. It's like, cause I'm thoroughly confused, to say the least.
Yeah, so we haven't gotten to that yet, but we did watch. So I watched the first Fast and Furious, the second, and then we got to the third. The third is Tokyo Drift. Everyone says it's the best one.
Oh yeah, Tokyo Drift.
So far, it's my least favorite.
You don't like Bow Wow, bro?
Nah, dude.
And that one girl's hot.
It's part of the movie where they called him a monkey, which is like, what the hell?
Oh and, yeah. Well, I mean, he's in Japan, so like,
yeah. Yeah, but no, just I didn't like it because I felt like the first two actually had like a story structure that I could follow, and some stakes. Whereas the third one, like, the main character was just given everything, which made no sense. And then the only thing cool about it was the setting and the fact that it had drifting. Like, there was no stakes. It didn't feel like intense. It was just some like spoiled country kid in Japan who's, for some reason, a stranger let him drive his car and crash it, and then let him drive another car, and then gave him a bunch of money.
Well, again,
like,
right?
What?
He kind of did that because he said that he was the only kid that stood up to him and like wasn't afraid. So that's why he's.
No,
like,
I know they explain it, but like, come on, man. Like,
yeah, I mean,
keep it real.
I liked it. The girl's hot,
a little much.
And then, it has what's his face? It has Sonny Chiba. It's like, oh shit, like, right? Hattori Hanzo. You're like, dude, what the hell? He's like the leader of the Yakuza. Yeah, I like the one because of the drifting, and then obviously I just like his character. What's his name? How do you say his name? I'm drawing a blank right now. Not the country boy, but obviously, is it Kang? No, I forget his name. The one that dies, obviously.
Oh yeah, I liked him.
Yeah, he always plays that kind of cool character. He's just like super cool, suave, just like nothing ever really gets to him. He's always snacking. I always liked his character. He was always really cool to me. But
Yeah,
I think he's what makes that whole series like work so well is because it's his character. Like everyone just like wants to be as cool as he does. And I wish he would have been in the future ones for sure, but he wasn't. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other thoughts I had on it. Oh, one big one that like the film just glossed over, but I was like, yo, what the hell? Was so our main character is supposed to be 17 or something in high school in Japan. And then one of his classmates is this other kid, this chick. And she's dating like the Yakuza boss's son, who's like a full grown adult. And I'm like, yo, pedophile? Like, pedophilia? What's going on?
I mean, you know,
This makes no sense.
she needed it for protection. It'd be like that sometimes, you know.
It's like,
Yeah, that
nobody
part,
gonna
I didn't-
clown
I
this
didn't
guy
really-
for dating a high schooler when he's like 40.
Wait, I don't think he was 40 though, was he? No.
I don't know how old they didn't say, but
I thought he was like in college. I thought it was like you know, like
no, dude.
or I thought he was
like,
in
he
high
looks like he's
school,
in his
or I thought
30s.
like he's the same age, but he just clearly doesn't do that because he's like the son of a yakuza. So it's like I don't need school. I'm just gonna go do like you know what I mean. I'm just gonna run in these streets like I'm the man. So I thought it was. I thought that's what it was. I thought he was like. I thought he was of age, but it was just because like yeah, he's just not in it because of what his family does.
I don't know, dude, but it was sketchy.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
vibing with that.
Shit, I'm really having trouble painting this tree. I need to figure this shit out. Let me zoom in on this thing. Let me turn all this stuff off. All right, I think the best thing I can do now is this color sample. I'm at a point where like I'm not doing this tree any justice. This is my second attempt, and I'm trash at it. So let's try it again.
Did you work today?
Yeah, I did. So it could be my brain is tired. So that could be it. There's probably a variety of reasons on why I'm having an off day in terms of like painting. So it happens sometimes. You know,
Yeah.
you're not shooting well on the court, and you gotta do what you gotta do. So let me see what these colors are that I'm missing. Good. So the hard part about doing this kind of stuff is just like really getting the analysis down. It's like maybe I'm not analyzing the right things. So, but we're gonna figure it out though. We're gonna get right. That's what I call it. We're gonna get right. It happens. How's your stuff going? How's your
I'm building one unique asset real quick, and then I'm just like, so I have my reference set, and I'm looking at these different mansions and trying to think of like, okay, what kind of shapes am I seeing, and how can I like make that a shape that I could mash with another shape and start like generating variations. And I've got a lot now, but Blender keeps crashing on me, which sucks. I've lost maybe like 40 minutes worth of work in total from how many times it's crashed.
Are you not
I think it has to do with my setup.
Do you not have I have to reload the page? What? Okay, my stream's back. Okay, good. We're good.
Speaking of which, I'm about to save just in case.
Do you not have the autosave on? Like, because the autosave should save like every 10 minutes. Like, you know?
I save iteratively anyway, so I've only ever lost like maybe 10 minutes, but it's crashed so many times that it's been like stacking up. You know what I mean?
Okay, I got you. So it's cumulative.
Yeah. Cumulative.
Okay.
I'll send you a screenshot in a second.
Cool.
With all the assets. So I have I don't know exactly what I'm doing. The problem I'm solving here is that AJ pointed out was I'm capable of making really nice quality finish scenes, but I don't have an iterative process where an art director could interject the direction that I'm going, and that I can deliver something iterations like throughout the process. and AJ wants me to figure out what that is, what that looks like. So, I talked to him this morning, and he showed me some stuff. And the thought I have is like, okay, if you want this, then maybe the best approach is to find a way to make things in a kind of modular fashion so that I can iterate quickly. Like, it takes a long time, I guess, to build each asset, but then once I have them, I can iterate in the last like stretch of time, make a couple different versions, and then for each version, make something or whatever I need that's unique to that scene. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it's the theory I have that I'm trying.
Yeah, I think whenever you can be modular about things and allow the director to kind of like put his puzzles, you know, like to kind of interject what pieces he thinks works, I think is always a good idea. But yeah, I think in general, just being like adaptable, I think is the most important thing here. Being able to adapt to what your director says in terms of him saying, "Oh, you know what, you should change this and whatnot." Yeah, that's hard to do because everyone paints differently. Everyone like thinks differently. So usually, if your director is good, they'll try to play to that strength and they'll try to figure out a way to like, you know, give you feedback in a way that might be conducive to how you already do work, or interject in the right opportunities. But again, not every art director has that time for that, and not everyone's good at that. So it's good to have a couple of different playbooks on how you do stuff. Like normally, like for DreamWorks stuff, like I just go to the very end for the most part. I go to the very end, they give me feedback, and I change it. And then if they don't like it, and I just do it again. Whereas like
Okay.
like video games, it's like I show sketches first, and then they're kind of like, all right, cool. I might show sketches every once in a while with Dreamers, but for the most part, I kind of just go ham. Like I just go to the final, and I'm like, this is what I want. This is what I think it should look like. And then they're like, all right, maybe do it again, but do something like this. And so I try to go as far as I can with it. Just because like I know what's in my head and I want to show it. So a lot of times like I just go ham. I just go super far. I'm like, I want to show what's in my head, like without anyone like giving me any ideas. I'm like, this is what I think it should be, and then they're like, all right, cool. But with that too, like there has to be a level of confidence too. So I'm pretty confident in like what I want to show, and so I'm like, yo, this is what I want, like, and then like if they say, okay, fix this, and I'm like, okay, cool. But at least I know like I got out like my opinion on paper, and it wasn't like affected in any way. But that also comes with like trust too from like your director to be like, all right, like, cool, like I trust you to do this if you really want to go for it. Is this the way? I don't think this is the way. It's kind of the way. Dude, I'm struggling with trees right now. I'm like, what is the best way to freaking handle this? And it's funny too, like I woke up today and I was like, this should be like a fun study. And it's not. Not at all. 100%. 100% not having a good time.
You just power through, or why don't you do something you're comfortable with?
It's not even that. It's just that I don't normally when I'm painting, right, I have like a clear idea in my head of the solution, right? Like step A, like, you know.
Yeah.
Right now I don't have a clear answer, and I'm trying out a bunch of things. Like right now I'm just trying out a bunch of different brushes, I'm trying out a bunch of different approaches of seeing like what gets me, cuz I know what I want it to look like, and I'm not getting there. Like I'm not getting the look and feel that I want. And I'm thinking, is it because I'm too controlled right now? Perhaps I have to let it kind of be like beautiful chaos, you know? Or maybe like the aesthetic of it is like not there. So right now it's a very like aesthetic problem that I'm having right now. Is I'm just trying to find this aesthetic that makes sense to me, and I'm not sure what that aesthetic is. So this is something that you go through a lot. I feel like, or at least for me, is I always go through like these like aesthetic problems where I'm like, okay, like what should this look like? So it's really interesting. I haven't had like an aesthetic issue in a minute. Normally I know exactly what I'm going for, and right now for the first time in a while I don't know. I have no idea. And I think I'm kind of figuring it out now. Actually, as I say that, I think I am like low-key figuring out exactly how I want to do this, which is good. Which means I'm gonna have to like watch the film room, go back in the film room and watch it back, and see like when did I figure it out and what did I do. So that's kind of the one cool part about about filming yourself or like doing these things kind of live, is that you can kind of come back and see like where you might have messed up, or where, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the one part I'm kind of like chalk erase, chalk 100%. No. What kind of eraser do I want? Erase your square texture? I don't know about that one. Hard, freaking hard. This one's called eraser freaking hard. Texture erase. I want a textured erase. Oh, okay, here we go. Which one is this one? Alright, well. Okay. I think. Yes! Okay. I think I'm finally making some headway here. I think it had everything to do with just like how I'm doing a texture erase. And it wasn't good.
Yeah. Yesterday I was having trouble figuring out what the right approach was for creating thumbnails and sketches, because I thought maybe paint it, then I thought maybe do a line drawing, but both of those solutions, like I felt like the architecture and the design that I'm trying to do was too precise, because it's modern, like mansions.
Yeah.
It was just too hard. Took too much time. That I went and got a breather and was like, all right, let me just jump in Blender. I'm not wasting my time.
I mean, no one really cares about. No, Sarah, what's going on? Says happy to catch the stream again. Hey, what's going on? How are you doing? Make sure I'm not missing anybody else. Make sure I'm not missing anybody else. Because pretzel, I wish there was a way to turn off the pretzel thing, because it tells you what's playing in the Twitch stream. I wish there was a way to turn that off. But anyways, no one cares about like the overall, like the approach. Is just more so the result, you know. As long as it helps move the team forward in a positive direction, then that's cool. So you could do it all by 3D. You can do none of it by 3D. It's completely 100% like whatever you want to do. Because there are some times for sure that like I just use 3D like 100%, and I'm just like, and I don't color anything. I'm just like, yo, this is what I think it should look like, and they're like, all right, that's cool. I'm just like, awesome. So it just really depends what the task is, and then what is acceptable, you know, to the director. That's pretty much all that really matters.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm learning is how they want you to solve the problem. How you solve that problem is up to you. It's your discretion. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I have solved some problems in some really weird ways in the past, and definitely not conventional, definitely not portfolio worthy, but effective. You know,
did the trick.
did the trick. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, um, there's that. I think people think that sometimes like your how you solve it has to be like this grandiose like you know painting that you hang in a museum, and more times than not, it's not that at all. It's like not like this just happens to be the way we're gonna solve it, and this is the best way to solve it. So yeah, I think a lot of times people get caught up in like, oh, it's got to be like this amazing thing. It definitely does not have to be. So I go by what's gonna help the team, and if it helps the team, then like cool, then like I'm gonna do that. But I definitely don't care about like looking cool, you know. Because there's been a few things where like I've done some ideas that like totally weren't like amazing, but the idea was there and like it communicated what I wanted to communicate, and then it changed like everything. They're like, "Yo, this is sick. Like we should follow this, or we should look more into this," you know. And it's like cool. It's like that drawing definitely, for all intents and purposes, will not be in a museum. But like I know that like at the end of the day, like that stupid sketch or that drawing is what like set the tone to really change something in the film or in the movie or in the game, you know. So that's kind of where I sit when it comes to that kind of stuff. Yeah, difference maker. Sometimes being an impact player on the team isn't always like the amazing like rendered ArtStation 100 likes painting. Sometimes it's like something super simple that just creates like a that just helps create a conversation that helps move the project forward, you know. And so I'm finding more and more about that about myself, like on a team, uh, just ways to just be more effective, um, to kind of figure out what the team needs and go from there. Like ironically, I the stuff that I've been doing recently has been more so just finding reference videos, like
Oh,
like
really?
yeah, like not even like actual painting, but like just me being like, yo, like I think we should do something like this, like check this out, check what I found. And they were like, what? Like, yo, it's sick. And I'm like, yo, I think we should do something like this, you know. And I'm like finding like the right timestamps, and I'm like, this is something that I think we should bring to the director, to the execs. And they're like, I totally agree. Like, this is really good stuff, you know. And so that can be the thing too. Sometimes people don't realize. Um, it's definitely very idea driven. A lot more times than like, look at my pretty picture.
Yeah, and fortunately for me, AJ offered his assistance in me figuring that out. He's not holding my hand. He's not like, do it like this. He wants me to figure that out, but he's gonna guide me as I try shit, which is really cool of him. I really appreciate that. And he talks a big game, so he thinks he's quite a good art director. So that's also good for me.
He's trash. He's trash, 100%. Then again, I think I'm a really good art director too. But then again, it's like I think every teacher like probably thinks they're a good art director, because it's kind of what you're doing at the end of the day when you're working with students. It's like you're directing them. You're telling them like what to do, what works and what doesn't work. So I think everyone
Yeah, it
thinks
sounds like there's a lot of parallels.
yeah, it's like you're just a coach at the end of the day. Like you're a coach. It's like you're looking at what people do, who they work well with. Like your starting lineup, like who does well with what, and like what they're gonna do, and how efficient are they, and then you just give them tasks and hope it all works out. But yeah, there isn't like a secret formula, but a lot of it is just understanding your team. Bad art directors, in my opinion, are ones that don't understand their team or don't care to understand their team, and when things don't work out, it's like, well, why are you so bad? Versus like, okay, what can I do to get the most out of them? Which is usually like, well, what am I doing wrong kind of situation. And a lot of good art directors will ask that question. But then after you ask that question enough times and there's still not an answer, then it's like, okay, it's this person 100%. It's you, not me.
Yeah, I can see that.
AJ's actually pretty good though at visualizing direction. Like giving direction is like really hard too. Like in my opinion, that's probably the hardest part of being an art director is that you have to give direction in a way that like makes sense to the other person, and the way that you give direction may not be the best way that someone likes to receive it. So then you have to like tailor your information that you're giving in a way that like makes sense. So that's the other hard part. Okay, I'm kind of liking where this is going, but we are almost out of time. I'm thinking about what's Thursday like.
Well, actually, do you want to? How much time are we supposed to stream?
I mean, I
How
was
much time
thinking
did we stream?
last time. I don't know. Like, I think we only streamed for like an hour and a half. We're supposed to do twice a week. That was kind of like I think the idea of splitting it up is just doing twice a week instead of doing like one day for like a long time. So I think twice is like a really good kind of feel, at least for me. Like I don't know about you, but why?
Yeah,
What's up?
twice is cool. So listen, the reason I brought it up is Kevin DM'd me, asked him to come hang. And
Yeah, it depends, right? If it's AJ, yeah, we're done. We're done for the day. But if it's Kevin, you know, we can definitely make some time for the man, the myth, the legend, Kevin Gnusman. He's a boss. The Blender Master. I was supposed to like hang out with them, do like an art hang, and then like Mother's Day got really busy. That's what I was doing. It was Mother's Day.
Oh yeah, it was Mother's Day.
That's what I was busy doing. I was like, what the fuck was I busy doing the other day? Oh, Kevin messaged me. Can I do you streaming? Can I join you guys? Oh, I totally did not see this message. I'm an asshole.
Too late, I'm already here.
Ah, fuck. No Brazilians.
I'm sorry, man.
What's going on, man? What's going on, homie?
I just finished a class and I'm just chilling painting some trees as well, so
Okay.
I might as well paint with you guys, right?
Yes, sir, dude. Good to have you, man. Good to have you. So did you teach a class or what? Or like what was it?
Yeah, today was feedback day basically. You just giving feedback on the students 3D.
Oh yeah. And you were like trash.
No, they are actually balling, man. Like the fact that Blender has so many tutorials out on YouTube for free, like a lot of times the students like are ahead of me, you know? There's always a new add-on or a new way to do something, and I'm teaching and they're like, oh, I just found this way to do it, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool too, you know? There's like, it's so popular, so it's hard to keep up.
Oh, that's cool. That's actually pretty nice when students are like, hey, have you heard of this? And I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it now. I'm going to try it out and master it. And now it's part of my arsenal. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the growing together mindset is like the best. Instead of just trying to compete with your students or be like, no, you can't do anything different from what I'm teaching, you know. So it's really nice. They're like most of my students are so excited with Blender. Like they really love it.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That's awesome that you're creating the next wave of enemies to take my job. Thanks a lot, Kevin. Jeez.
They're gonna take mine too, dude.
Freaking Blender. No, I mean, yeah, that's the vibe though. Like people are getting really good, and that's awesome. I mean, I always kind of like it that way when things are kind of open source, because then it's kind of like, all right, let's see who's really good, you know. Let's see who's like the man at this kind of stuff. Or
yeah. When there are no like money barriers, you know.
Yeah, when there's no
who is actually good.
Yeah, exactly. When there's no like random like, oh, because you have this expensive program or you have these you know, add-ons that no one else can get, or when you have this proprietary software, yeah, I do like the fact that it really kind of everything's kind of evened out. So yeah, now it's kind of like, all right, well, let's see like who's really good, because now you can't say now it's like, oh, because I don't have this or I don't have that. It's like, nah, if you like,
Yeah, yeah.
so.
That's super dope.
Hmm. So yeah, I really vibe with that kind of thing when the playing field is even. Um, I definitely like that. It's actually a really really good thing. So good. That's why Blender's cool, because it's like,
Yeah, and in Brazil, like we don't. Most of the students they don't have, at least from my experience, they don't have powerful computers. So the fact that Blender, you can do like so much with just an average PC, it's so good too. Like when I was using Maya, back when I started using 3D, it was so like insane. I used to wait like 5 to 10 minutes just to open the software. You know, so Blender, yeah, it was crazy.
yeah,
Like so
Blender's
annoying,
pretty
but
fast. Blender's like it's like,
it's really fast. Yeah, right. So everyone can use it. That's another thing. Not only the fact that it's free, but it runs in most of the computers with Eve. You know, like rendering and ray tracing engines. It's so like rough on computers. So the fact that there's also Eve makes it like a lot of more people can start to use it. So it's so dope.
yeah, Eevee's awesome when it comes to that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's pretty funny because I had a friend that I think one of my old friends. He doesn't really do art anymore professionally, but I went to school with him, and he's like, yeah, I still dabble around in like Maya and Max. He's like, so what's this like Blender stuff? Like, is it really that good? You know, and considering that we learned 3D in 2005, right? That's where he is like in his 3D is like 2005 3D, and I was like, yeah,
Oh my god.
you should probably just stop using that program altogether, honestly. And he's like, what, really? Like, are you serious? Like that's like my bread and butter. And I'm like, yeah, like you should stop, like right now, and just switch over. And he's like, but like how? And I'm like, bro, I'm like, just watch these videos. And he's like, what? Like you can do like ambient occlusion without like just it's just there. I was like, yeah, like that's what I'm telling you, man. Like all those things that like we had to do back in the day, like we don't have to do that anymore. Like we could just do it right now. Like it just comes in standard. He's like, wow, this program's really light. He's like, okay, I get it
Yeah.
now. So I mean,
By the way, have you tried that add-on
Which add-on?
that I've sent you a couple, maybe like a month ago? That screen space reflection global illumination add-on, which like kind of fakes bouncing lights in Eve.
Yeah, I
You
did that.
probably did it.
Yeah,
I did that in my train station scene, Kellen.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
you did?
super dope. Like, it's not perfect, but it's so good.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you sending it to me. I remember not using it because I haven't used Blender in a minute. But I will try to check that out. I guess from the next time. Next time I have an excuse to like use it, I'll probably check it out. But then again,
Yeah.
like, so it just creates more like reflections. Is what you're saying? Like,
Yeah, exactly. It kind of fakes bouncing lights, basically.
yeah, I guess I could really use that, especially in more like interior scenes. 'Cause
Let me
that,
show you here, by the way, so you see the difference. I have it still the print screens.
all right, we're about to switch over. Hold on a second. Let me move my screen over so we can see.
Yeah, there you go. Check
the-
this out.
All right, hold on. Let me switch over to your screen real quickly. Give me a second. Wait, how do I go to the Hangout?
I can send the image on Hangout.
No,
as
no, no,
well,
no,
like-
no, no, no. We're good. We're good. We're good. Watch stream. Okay. Wait, how to make this big? Make it big.
Kelly is such a boomer using Discord.
Shut up, dude. Shut the. Okay, hold on, dude.
Jesus Christ! Every
I'm
time.
trying, bro. All right, we're here. All right, show me. It better be tight now.
Okay, so
Oh,
so this one is without the add-on, and this one is with the add-on. So it's massive the difference. Like you can actually emulate.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then I remember
Bouncing
I remember
light.
you showing me that. Now,
Yeah.
can you get some like cooler bounce light there a little bit too? Like, can you change? Like, is there a parameter to like change that? Like,
There are some parameters that you can control. I don't know like how artistic you can be with those, but there's definitely some a way to control like how intense the bounce lighting is, or yeah, there's definitely some stuff.
Okay.
Did you
So
see his displacement addition as well?
no, no. I need, man.
So
There's so much
yeah,
stuff that I need to caught up on. Does the same
if you
dude that
had
did this
same,
add-on?
yeah, the same dude who did this one, he created a real-time displacement in Eevee using cards. It's a pretty clever technique.
Oh, that's so
It
nice.
works
And it's
pretty
free
well.
because I remember this one
It's
is
free.
free. Let me
Yeah,
try and
it's
check
free.
this out.
See, look at that.
Um,
You learn new
yeah,
stuff
it's pretty
all the
convincing.
time.
The I tested it, and the thing that held it back is you can't do mix shaders, unfortunately.
Oh,
You can't mix like two different displacements. Oh, maybe
wait,
it's
but
not
it,
this guy.
it's
Okay,
not
I'll
the same
get
guy?
it to you. I
Okay.
guess not. I'll get you. Hold on.
Because I'm painting these pine trees here, 100% inspired by Hitler's
Ooh.
last paintings.
I appreciate
Oh,
it.
nice.
Sorry, we have some questions here that I did not read. My bad. My bad. Hold on here. No, sorry. Any tips on writing cover letters for your art biz dev jobs? I recently graduated. I'm stressing over making my application as good as they can be. Haven't tried Blender yet, but I love that you use SketchUp in an entire browser. SketchUp's dope too. And she's liking the texture on the thing will be a big difference. Okay, yeah. Okay, so cover letters. Ironically, we were just talking about this. Right, Mike? Because you asked me about this. You literally
Yeah.
messaged me one day and was like, "Yo, cover letters. Like, what do I do?" Wasn't it like a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it was last weekend.
Yes.
Not this weekend, but the one before.
Last weekend. Yeah, cover letters. By the way, no, sorry. Where are you graduating from? Out of curiosity. Also, congratulations on graduating as well. Cover letters are kind of just ways, in my opinion, to kind of like personalize. It's a way to personalize your resume when you send it in, and the best way that I like to think about it that I gave Michael is dating, is like online dating. um, and so it's the idea that like if you've ever done any kind of online dating before and you message another person, normally if you just message like "what's up," right, and you just kind of just like show your profile, they probably won't like message you back because they're getting so many messages a day from other people that it's hard to stand out. And so that's kind of the reason why you have a cover letter, is to stand out. So normally, if you message someone just with like a one word like "sup," like you're probably not going to get any replies back, nor is it going to make you stand out. But if you message someone right on those dating sites and you're kind of like, "Hey, what's up? My name is Kaylin. I saw something." It usually helps you stand out a little bit more. And so normally when you write a cover letter, you're trying to kind of establish that common ground and why you want to work there. So it usually helps if you're like a huge fan of that company or like you really like what they make, because then it's easier for you to kind of be like, "Yo, like I love your games. I play them all the time. I remember playing this game as a kid and stuff like that." And like I'm really I hate using that word passionate because it doesn't really mean anything, but I'm passionate about this, and yeah, like I think I would be a good fit, for your company. And that's kind of how I treat it. So I give the example of like, I gave Mike the example of how when I first DM my wife, who's now my wife, I didn't say like, "Yo, what's up? Like, come get this." It was like, "Hey, like, what's going on? Like, my name's Kaylin. Like, by the way, I saw your profile. I thought it was cool. Like, it's cool that you're into these kind of things because so am I. Maybe we should talk sometime." And that's how it was, right? It was like trying to kind of find that common ground with somebody and finding things that we had in common and then kind of tailoring it to kind of be like, "Hey, like, let's talk sometime." And so that's what got me a reply, ironically, was because I took the time to kind of like to look at their profile and like know what they're about and then message them about it. You know what I mean? Versus just saying, "Hey, like hire me," So anytime you take more opportunity to get to know about the studio and know what they do, it's good. Just like anytime if you were dating online, you would want to know more about the person that you're trying to talk to. It shows that, oh, like they're invested, And that's what companies want. Companies don't want you like, oh, I'm just applying to you because I'm broke and I need money. It's like they want someone like, oh, I'm applying to you because I really want to work here and I enjoy the stuff that you make. Just like if you were replying to some guy or girl, you're like, oh, I'm just replying to you because I'm horny, right? That doesn't that doesn't make anyone feel good. You want someone to say, oh, I'm replying to you because I really enjoy your profile, and actually I think we would actually get along and we should definitely talk. So that's kind of the way that I kind of talk about like cover letters. Is you always want a cover letter for each company that you apply to. You want a cover letter, and that cover letter should be kind of you in a way kind of selling yourselves, and also kind of displaying that you know about their company, that it's not just like, oh, I just kind of found you on ArtStation and I'm like, I'm just kind of shooting my shot. It should be like, hey, I like you guys and I know what's up. Like, let's continue this conversation. So hopefully that makes sense, but I think that's a good way of explaining it, is just think of you trying to like date someone and you're trying to stand out of all like the hundreds and probably like thousands of DMs that person is getting on any given day, versus like, you just saying like, hey, like please hire me. And so no Sarah says, I'm struggling to find the balance between passionate and excited about the company and still keep it formal. I don't think it's that deep, honestly. I think you can just, there's plenty of good, like you can type in like cover letter like format, and I'm pretty sure there's stuff that you can kind of just maybe kind of not copy and paste, but like kind of just remix it. So I don't think it has to be that crazy. At the end of the day, the work is what's going to get you in the door, but the cover letter will kind of help distinguish you a little bit in terms of like if it becomes kind of like a close tie. I think they're gonna want someone that's like, yo, like this person really like wants to work here. So that's kind of the way that I look at it. I don't know if you guys have any other like thoughts about that.
I don't.
I think. I mean, I agree with everything, but for me, like, I think the best, like the ideal way is if you just have a really good work and people reach out to you. I remember back when I was looking for freelance, I was sending so many emails, man, like thousands of emails, and none of them I got any replies. And then I just like started to publish stuff online and get some attention, and then eventually people reach out to me. But I mean, it's not, it doesn't help with the question, but
no, I mean it does, because I said at the end of the day, it's the work that's gonna get you. So like, no one's gonna hire you for a good cover letter. No one's gonna be like, yo, this cover letter's bomb, let's hire him. At the end of the day, it's always going to be.
It's a really small percentage.
It's a really small, yeah. Small. Yeah, don't think that you're not getting hired because of your cover letter. If you're not getting hired, it's because of your work. 9% of the time. Yeah. But the cover letter can help when let's say it's like a super close tie. But again, like you would have had really good work in the first place for that to even be like an issue. But more times than not, cover letter just probably helps get your foot in the door to the art director. So if anything, a cover letter probably helps like get past that first HR person. But then once it gets to the art director's desk, like they don't care.
And there's another thing that I think people really don't talk about it that much, which is timing. Like if the company's not looking for people, it's hard to get hired, So if it's in the beginning of the year and the company's looking, I mean, there's a lot of companies that at the beginning of the year, they're starting new projects and they're looking for people. So yeah, there's timing too. Sometimes you have a good work and you have a good cover letter, but they just don't need the person. So
yeah,
there's a lot of things.
100%. Again, it's just like a relationship. Like sometimes you're not looking for a relationship and it's like good person, good candidate, but maybe it's a bad timing. So that's why I always kind of like equate like a lot of this stuff to like dating, because there's a lot of similarities. Like you're trying to woo this person into hiring you and a lot of it sometimes are things that are kind of like not in your control. But what you can control is again
Yeah,
But luckily versus dating, right? You can't control like how good you look because if you're not good looking, not good looking.
that's right.
But what you can control is how good looking your portfolio is, right? Like you can get hotter, like just by like, you know what I mean? You can set yourself up for like having your portfolio look like really good to other people. So that's kind of like the fun part is that um, it may not look good now, but you can definitely work towards that. I think that's like a really cool thing. And there have been people, you know, that looked at my portfolio back then, you know, and they're like, nope. And then now the same people are like, yo, what are you doing? You know? So, Mike Jones, if you ever heard of Mike Jones? Back then they didn't want me. If anyone gets that joke, all right, never mind. Darn.
No,
Listen to a song, Kevin. You're from Brazil, so I don't think you'll ever get it. But
No.
listen to a song called "Back Then" by Mike Jones. I'll give it to you, and it's my jam. It's my anthem. So you can learn some Mike Jones.
Yeah, but again, I think knowing, understanding that there are a lot of things that are out of your control, it helps you to like cope when you don't, when no one like hires you, and you can just be like, okay, maybe I'm not ready, but there's other things, so I'm just focused on my work for now. Because there is always work for people. Like, yeah, from my experience, there's always work. There's always work.
So if you're not getting that work, then it's like that people just don't want you.
Yeah, maybe that company doesn't want you, so
Yeah.
maybe other one's gonna want you. One thing that helped me a lot too, like this year, and with quarantine, I started to do a lot of daily stuff. And I mean, you should not like live with the pressure of having to like publish stuff and create new things constantly. But the truth is, it does help you, like to get jobs if you're like constantly reminding people that you're an artist. You know what I mean? Like I've been publishing on LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram and ArtStation and Facebook. I still use Facebook. Sometimes I publish there. So yeah, and people like they notice you. So there's a lot of times where uh, art directors are looking for artists, and usually, like I mean, they have some people in mind, but they use social media too. So if you pop up there like constantly, you're just like reminding them, hey, look at me, I'm an artist. Look at my work, and maybe you get the chance to work on
Look at
something
me, I'm single.
that
I'm still single. I didn't, you know,
basically.
pretty
Okay, if you
much.
put it like that, it's kind of pitiful. Come on.
No, but I mean, it is kind of like that. Like you're like, yo,
It is
like
what it is.
it kind of is.
Yeah, it is what it
That's
is.
why I equate it to dating because it's pretty much just like, yo, look how hot I am. Like I'm single. You know, your art is your thirst trap. You know, you throw out
Yeah.
the thirst trap and you're just like you're constantly letting people know like, yo, I'm hot. I'm dope. Like I know you want this, and then eventually someone's
I
like,
know
you
you
know
want
what,
this.
like I kind of do want this, and you're like, yo, what's good? And
Yeah, let's
it
make it happen.
yeah, you're kind of like we all kind of like whore ourselves out a little bit when it comes to that, but that's kind of what it takes. And what you said there was really good too, because you said that well they're on social media too, and then when they go on, right, if you're constantly in their feed and then you're the first person that pops up when they feel like they go, oh, I'm looking for an artist, and if you're the first person that pops up because you're constantly putting out, you know, kind of bait, you know, thirst trap pictures, the more you put out there, the one time that it actually sticks could actually be, you know, the time that it gets you hired.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of constantly promoting yourself, and it seems kind of shameless, but I mean, at the end of the
It
day,
is what
like
it is.
no one's gonna pay your bills. Like I'm not paying Kevin's bills anytime soon, nor is he gonna pay
Yeah.
mine. So you gotta kind of do what you gotta do in order to kind of like
There are some good
constantly.
news. I think there are some good news. Like the good news is once you get a job and you start work, if you do a good job, there are like a lot of chance that that person hires you again, or they're gonna like suggest your name for someone else, you know. And after like a couple years, if your name's out there, you don't really have to be 100% of the time publishing stuff. At least from my experience, a lot of times some art directors come to me and they're like, "Oh, someone," and they say a name of a person that I've worked before.
suggest me your name. I've looked into your work, and we're looking for some people to do, I don't know, backgrounds or stuff. And I'm like, oh shit, so that's so cool. And yeah, the word spreads, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just maybe in the beginning, I guess, of your career. To
Yeah, in the
be
beginning it's
constantly
definitely
learning.
hard. It's definitely like a rite of passage. You have to kind of suffer, well, not suffer, but like it's just hard. It's just everyone's trying to eat,
Struggle.
and
Yeah, yeah.
and you're just competing against so many other people that it's just
It's
like
just like dating. If everybody wants you, like more people is gonna start to want you.
yeah, it kind of is exactly. See, the more the dating thing, but yeah, so that's kind of the thing is like it's funny when people are like, well, I wish like people like saying, oh, well, I wish this company would hire me, and it's like, oh, they should hire me or whatever, and it's like, bro, if they wanted to hire you, they would have hired you by now, you know, just like I gave the dating analogy, right? When you like someone, you definitely let them know like, hey, like what's up? Like
Yeah.
I'm
By
I'm
the way,
I'm busy
something
right now,
happened
but what's going
today.
on? What's up?
I have a short story. Something like exactly what you just said happened to me today. I got an email yesterday, and I didn't have time to reply. But the client reached out once again, like, have you had a chance to look through my email? We are looking for someone who do this, this, and this.
They're
So
desperate.
if they want you, they're gonna like, yeah, they're
Exactly.
gonna,
They're gonna be like, hey, like, did you get my last text? Like, you know,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I see a lot of my friends on Twitter. They're like, yo, like, you know, this company should hire me. Like, where you at? And it's like, bro, you're being desperate. Like, they don't want you. Like, just relax. Like, if they wanted you,
yeah, there's
they
this
would have
too.
contacted you all the time.
Whenever people starts to shit on companies or like say some harsh stuff on social media, just venting because of work, I'm always like, bruh, it just make it worse. Like just chill. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong thinking
No,
this way, but it does sounds like a
it's an
little,
ego thing.
you know.
It's definitely an ego thing. Because I put it this way. I do the dating thing, right? And I like
Yeah.
because I had a friend that was going through that in the dating world, right? And I had to be real with them, and I was like, all right, like I'm like think of like the perfect girl, right? And he's like thinking of her, and I'm like, okay, now in your head, if that girl thinks of the perfect guy, like are you that person, you know? And he's kind of like no, and I'm like exactly, like you are not being realistic with your expectations of like what you want, like same thing with companies, right? You have this dream company, like, oh, Riot, you know, Riot's like the company that I want to work for and this and that. And I go, cool. Now, when Riot thinks of, oh, the perfect artist for this project, do they think of Kalen? Do they think of Kevin, right? And if the answer is no, then it's like, then yeah, your work probably isn't fitting or doesn't work for that company, you know? And so it's not like they're not gonna do this pity hire where they're like, oh yeah, like we'll hire you because like you know something. I'm like, no, you still have to be good, dude. So it's like you can't
And
be
let
like,
me tell you, it's good for everyone that it works like that because I have worked in some projects that later on down in the project, I realized that I wasn't a good fit for the project. And it was so bad for everyone because I had to be like, okay, I think this is not working. It's not my style. And they
yeah,
were like, oh, okay, you're gonna look for someone else. So yeah, everybody's trying to avoid these situations. So
exactly. So
because
it's
if you're,
like
yeah,
be realistic about your expectations. It's like you like these artists are like, yo, I want to date a 10, but you're a 4 yourself. Like you're not constantly like updating your portfolio. You're not putting yourself out there. You're not trying to get better, but you want to date a 10 or you want to be at a 10 studio or AAA studio, but you're not AAA studio quality, you know? It's like again, it requires people to be really honest with themselves, and a lot of people aren't, and that's unfortunate because it's kind of like
because it hurts. Yeah.
because it hurts to say that, and it's like an echo chamber, right? Because they're like, yeah, like your friends kind of gas you up, they gaslight you, they go, oh yeah, you're right, like these companies are whack, they're not giving opportunities to like you know us or whatever, and I'm like, no, they're just not giving opportunities to you, because like your work's not that good, and
Yeah.
like it's been a year
Yeah.
and you
Not
haven't,
there yet.
yeah, you haven't updated your work in God knows how long, like of course like I wouldn't give you opportunity either, and like and I like you, and it's like people don't want to hear that, and I get it, like it kind of sucks to like to hear that information, but yeah, you have to be really realistic about like your skill level and what's possible for you to do, um, versus what you can get. And I feel like a lot of students, whenever I deal with them, they get mad when they're like, "This is BS." Like, I want to be on this Riot or Blizzard team, and I'm like, "Yeah, it's not. You're not good enough for that, dude. I'm gonna be real with you, my guy." And it's a hard pill to
There's nothing
swallow.
wrong with working like with a different company that it's not your dream company yet. Like, get some experience, Like, most of the stuff that I've worked in the early, and I'm still in the beginning of my career, but like a lot of stuff that I've worked, I wasn't like, oh my god, this is the best job I've ever got, and I'm gonna spend my entire life working in this company. No, I was just like, I need the money. That's a thing,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, there's nothing wrong with working with some, because there's probably someone out there. Of course, that depends a lot on your level, but there's probably someone out there that you can work for. You're not gonna make like a ton of money. It's all yourself. There's nothing wrong with not working with the biggest company in the beginning. I've seen some friends and artists that they like study for years without working, and when they work, the first job that they get is like a incredible company like Red Games or there's other amazing companies, but you don't have to necessarily like start out with those.
Yeah, it's definitely like few and far between people that can actually kind of land those jobs. One thing that I think that needs to be kind of stated too is that a lot of times, you working at these kind of smaller companies, those people probably won't be there the entire time. So those people will get to better companies as well. And when they get there,
Yeah.
they're going to recommend you. So there have been multiple opportunities for myself where I worked with someone at like a very small studio, right? It wasn't glamorous. It was just like, kind of like a shitty job for all intents and purposes. It wasn't fun.
Yeah.
But, we
Not a
we
fun
were
project.
we were in the trenches together, and then now those same people are now production designers, art directors, or they work on these big projects and they go, "Oh yeah, like I worked with this guy, way back in the day, and he handled his stuff like let's give him a call. I trust this guy. I knew this guy when I was a nobody. And so
Yeah.
that can happen, and I've definitely recommended people before at opportunities like that, where I was just like, yo, I work with this guy like way back in the day, and he was always like a solid fit. Like he's a guy that I trust. Like we should reach out to him. And then that's exactly what happens, and then you see what they're doing, and it kind of works out. So it's one of those things too that like people are always kind of watching. And relationships are really, really important for this reason, because you could easily like make that relationship that could really benefit you later on.
This is so true. Like, I'm having because I'm already working in some projects. A lot of times I have the chance to indicate people and like to work. And whenever I think, I'm always looking for people that I've already worked on first with. And if I trust them, because kind of your name's in the line too, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah, always do
100%.
your best when like it doesn't matter if it's a big company or always work your best. And
Yeah. I mean, this goes to when you're in school too. Like, I always tell some of my students, I'm like, people are always watching, even in school. And I'm like, if you don't, granted, like art school is art school, it is what it is. But, if you're in a setting with other people, you should always be aiming to be as professional and good as possible. There were some students that were kind of always late to my class, always like, not handling their stuff. And I'm just kind of
there's
like,
that.
sorry, by the way, someone says, Natalia says, wait, Brazil? I'm from Brazil. Where are you in Brazil, Natalia? We got Kevin Gnutzman, and he's from Brazil. He's the man, dude. He's the blender man in
Yeah, I'm
Brazil.
from
Dude.
Brazil.
Yes, sir. Let them
Oh
know.
yeah.
Let them know. Do we have any other Brazilians in here? Where's
I just
Brazil?
retweeted your live stream tweet,
Oh,
so
maybe that's it.
someone's gonna-
Okay, there we go. That's where all the Brazilians are coming through.
Maybe.
Yeah, but if you're the kind of student that's like never on time, just like always arguing with people kind of remember that kind of stuff. And I've seen it happen before too, where like we were gonna hire someone and they're like, yo, like, Kaylin, what do you went to school with this person, like, and they applied here, and like what do you think? Like we want to ask you real quick, like what do you think of this person? Like what was your experience? And I'm never gonna lie, right? Because my ass is on the line, like what Kevin said, right? Your name's on the line, so you're not gonna lie and be like, oh yeah, he's awesome, right? I can only go with what
And then
I
you
know.
bring it to the project and
Yeah,
everything
right.
falls
They're gonna
apart.
be mad at me. They're gonna be like, "What the hell are you doing, dude?" So all I can do, right, is I have to be 100% honest. I got to be like, okay, well, you know what? Like, um, I don't know that person that well, but when I did talk to them, like they're kind of always late and they didn't really ever do their homework and they kind of argued a lot. They kind of always had excuses. So like, and I always go like, I always go, I could be wrong. Like that could like maybe that was like maybe they were having a bad day or something like that. But that's my experience, and that's what I remember of that person is this them always being late, never paying attention, and you know, then and that's what it is. What it is. And they go, all right, cool, thank you. And I have to be honest, right? I can't lie because again, my name's on the line. And ironically, I used to be that person. I used to
Always
be
late.
that person that was late to class, not paying attention, always playing video games. Like I was that person, and I had that reputation. And it took a long time to get out of it, to break myself of
Yeah, you have to prove yourself.
to prove
to others,
myself. They're like, oh, Kalen, like yeah, dude, he's like always playing video games in the lab. He's not really doing work all the time. He's just kind of just always just chilling, just hanging out. Yeah, it took me a while to break myself that
Image.
label, that image. Yeah, so image is super important um, when you're starting out. So I think that needs to be addressed as well. So like people are always watching, and you should always like be ready for an opportunity because you never know. Like
Yeah,
that's
you,
why.
you shouldn't like act in a good way just because people are watching, like it's gonna be good for you in multiple dimensions in your life.
Mhm.
But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, always be ready for a job. Like I always make sure that in my classes, like my students, they always have like a business card and a website ready, and stuff like that, because you never know who might come in. And I've had professionals come in my class before, and they go, "Okay, who's got business cards? Like I want to connect with you guys. Who's got a website? Like show me your website." And of course, it's like, "Oh, mine's not ready yet," or "Oh, like I don't have anything, but can I call you next time?" And they're like, "Nah, dude. Like if you don't
Yeah,
have
and some
business."
people they don't have these things ready because like they're waiting to be perfect or whatever. But I think in this case is a lot more about your attitude
Mm-hmm.
than being like perfect with what you're
Exactly.
doing.
Exactly.
So yeah,
And
just
so,
have if you people look at you and they see that you're hungry to get better and to improve and to do like cool stuff, that's what grabs people attention, I think.
mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, like of course you have to have a good work and a solid foundation and everything, but it's also about how you, yeah, how people will
being
perceive you.
being professional is and you don't need skill to be professional, to act and behave professionally. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that doesn't require any skill to like have a business card, have a website, and be respectful towards others. That's literally free. It requires zero skill, zero experience to do that kind of stuff. So you should always kind of like be ready for that kind of stuff whenever it does happen. Because there's been opportunities where, you know, I've been in the room with some really important people, and we're all kind of just sitting there, and the guy's like, "Hey, who's got a business card?" And I'm like, "I do, right here, man." And everyone's like, "Oh, I don't have any," or like, I'm like, "Here's my website. It's right here. Like, here's my number. Like, everything you need, bro. Like, let's talk." And he's like, "Cool. Like, I'll give you a call." And he does give me a call, and it was only because I was ready, not because like I was the best person. Like the best ability sometimes is availability, and
Yeah.
and yeah,
It's
that's
funny. I have a friend in Brazil. I'm not gonna say his name because he's gonna get mad at me if he sees this live stream. But his work, it's like 7 out of 10, I'd say. He's improving, but he's so good with these things that we are talking about that he always have work. Like he's always with work. People want him left and right, even though his work is like not the best because he knows how to you know
do
Yeah.
what we were talking about, like have being ready. He has a website. He's publishing everywhere. He's talking to people. He's going to art events and everything, the whole pack. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's you gotta have the soft skills a little bit too sometimes. Oh, is this the guy that was like, "Yo, Kevin, like stick with me, and I'll get you some work," kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the
exactly.
guy.
Do
Dude,
you
I want to
remember
meet
this
that
story?
guy. I can't
I
wait.
can't believe you remember this.
Of course, I
But
remember.
yeah,
I
it's
remember
him.
everything about my homies, dude. I can't wait to meet that guy. I remember I was joking about that. I was like, "That's like," I'm like, I don't think even
Yeah,
AJ can tell
man.
me
I'd
that.
say he has like a Brazilian vibe, way stronger than mine. Like he's so talkative. He makes people laugh. He's so good at communicating. He's an extrovert, so that
Yeah.
helps so much too. But you can always be like maybe a Juan Gia. You can always have like so freaking solid work that people will find you, and you don't have to do anything, which is harder, but it's a possibility too. I think.
Dude, I want to meet that guy just because like I don't think I've ever met someone that said like, "Yo, Kalen, stick with me and like at this party and I'm gonna get you work." Like that's the confidence to say that. Like even AJ, as popular as he is, has never said it to me ever.
Yeah,
where
but
he's
you
like,
have to remember, we were in the Brazilian art event, and there wasn't really like incredibly big companies there. Like the companies are quite big, and really good. You can really like work for them and make quite a good money, but it's not like Riot Games and
even
uh,
at
you
a
know,
smaller
Naughty
convention,
Dog.
I don't think I'd have the balls to be like, "Yo,
But
Michael,
yeah,
stick with me."
you know what? Because he probably worked for everyone in the art event.
Yeah.
Like you have no idea.
Stick with
Bro,
me.
he
you're gonna
know
get a
he knew
job.
all the art directors, the producers, and everyone. It was like crazy.
That's
But
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the confidence to make promises like that. I'd be like, "Yo, Michael, you can meet this guy and good luck," but like that's like no promises, bro.
But I think he only did that to me because I was like really hungry. My work was
Mhm.
like already good enough for the needs of those companies. So he was confident about my skills. Yeah, there's this too. I
Don't
think
worry.
that.
When you come to Lightbox, I'm gonna be that guy. I'm not gonna get you a job, but I'm gonna introduce you to everyone I know. I'm gonna be like, "Yo, it's my boy Kevin. Like, you need to check out his work. He's the bomb."
That's
So
gonna be fun. I like to
yeah,
talk. Man,
yeah.
I can't wait to go and meet everyone. Like during this quarantine, I've met online so many people,
Mm-hmm.
and oh my god, I can't wait to see everyone.
Yeah,
Just paint.
you're
Like maybe
definitely
do some
gonna.
like
Hope you like partying, because that's probably gonna be what we're gonna be doing with me. We're gonna be.
yeah, partying and maybe playing some soccer, paint some clouds.
Oh,
We're gonna do
the
some
soccer is
things.
100%. That's the only.
Soccer. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so bad, but I'm a Brazilian. I have to,
Yeah,
represent.
yeah. He says I don't believe him 100%. He's gonna come on the ball and just freaking just ramble it over my
Dude,
head.
let me
just,
tell
like,
you,
volley it.
I'm not a tall dude, but I played better basketball than soccer. I've actually played basketball in Brazil in a
Well, yeah,
small
but
team.
basketball is pretty
you know?
pretty popular in Brazil, obviously. So it's like the second most
Yeah.
popular sport. Like there's like volleyball, soccer, right? Yeah. As soon as someone says like, "Oh, I'm not very good," and it's just like
Yeah,
that's
man,
like
you're
me in
gonna
Street
do some
Fighter.
good,
Like,
but-
oh, like I haven't played in a while. And I'm just gonna get freaking just comboed. Just like
No,
as
no,
I
you
as
have
I
to
pull out
lower
my
your
own stick and my own
expectations.
controller. Like what? Like it's been
The
a while.
only thing that I might surprise you is that I know how to kick with both of my legs, which I'm actually kind of proud of. Like, I can-
Okay. See,
Yeah, I have a good
Mike,
aim
this
with
this
both
man
my
this man
legs,
is
but-
sandbagging me right now, dude. Like, you see this
No,
sandbagging
I'm
going
so
on, Mike?
bad at controlling the ball, man. You have no idea. Like
Yeah,
sometimes
perfect
the
touch.
ball beat me.
Yeah, I don't buy it. That's like walking up to the Smash Brothers and he's
Don't
like,
buy
I don't play. And then he pulled out like a CRT like monitor and like a custom controller. I'm like, where did that CRT come from? He's like, oh, I just have it, but I don't play. I don't play. It's like, what? Why you picking Fox? I don't play. I don't play. Like what? Like what's going on
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now?
You're actually right. Usually people that are really good, they don't
Just-
brag that much. They're
yeah.
just like, I'm just chilling, and then when they go down
Yeah,
there, they
exactly.
just
Like
mash
why
everyone.
are you L canceling? What? Like what's going on right now? And you're like, nah, I'm all right. I don't play. just getting one tapped, just getting just destroyed.
Yeah.
I never trust people.
Okay,
with that
I
stuff.
do play kind of well, ping pong. Do you guys play a lot there? Do you like it? Because like
Yeah,
we have a
ping pong.
table in my house, and my family has
Uh-oh.
some sort of tradition to play it. So
Do you trust this man, Mike? What do you think?
Seems like a humble brag kind of guy.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think
Oh,
you
man.
I think he's
I
sandbagging
think
me.
he's cracked. I think he's cracked.
Yeah. I
No,
think
no, 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 no.
I think he's OD.
I'm so
He's
bad at
cracked. He's too
soccer.
humble.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm.
He's,
Guys,
he's gonna
trust
come
me,
through and
so
just
bad.
dunk on all of us.
When I tell you I suck, you can believe it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
Uh,
like, I'm
man,
all
I
right.
suck
I'm
all
all
my
right.
life.
It's gonna
Like,
put
wait,
pressure
what?
on me, man. It's gonna make it worse.
You want to do some skateboard tricks? All right, I got you.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
no.
I
Skateboard.
did that. I did that to my wife on our first date. One of our first dates, we went bowling, and I did that to her.
Oh, that's actually a great idea. Like just like meeting a girl and then be like, oh, I just do some drawings for fun, and then you just go ahead and
Yeah, because
like,
like I used to
amazing
bowl a lot in
painting.
high school, and so like the first 5 rounds, I was just like trash. And she's like talking shit. She's like, "Oh yeah, like I'm gonna beat you," and I was like, "All right, I'm like, let's make a bet. Like if I win, like you gotta give me a kiss." And she's like, "All right, fine." She's like, and then and I just bowled like 5 strikes in a row, and I was just like, "Oh, I kind of remember how to play now."
Hostile,
I was
yeah.
like, "Oh shit, like what's
That's
going on?"
genius, dude.
And then she's like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I used to bowl, and I just remember how to bowl now. My bad." And then she's just like, he's like, "That's bullshit. Like you sandbagged me." And I was like, "Dude, you agreed to it. Like you should did your research." I was like, "So, pucker up.
Did your research.
you should puck it up." So yeah, so now she never trusts me. If we do something and I'm like, "Oh, I'm bad at it," she's like, "Are you really bad at it, or are you just trying to get something out of me?" And I'm like, "No, I'm legitimately bad at it."
Yeah, that's me with soccer. Oh my god, I'm so bad.
Yeah,
You guys
exactly.
are not gonna trust me, but it's fine.
Just
I'm gonna
bicycles.
embarrass myself.
Just bicycles the ball just one time, upper V. I'm like, what the? He's like, oh yeah, I'm just getting warmed up. Yeah, I've definitely seen that happen.
No,
A
I
few
just got out
times.
the window. The ball was at a good timing in the air, so
Mhm.
yeah, it's lucky
yeah,
shot.
Yeah, lucky shot. Though I've had that happen to me when I'm not good. Like I'm actually not very good at basketball. I'm like I can run. I have a decent fadeaway, but I've been on basketball teams because I'm black, which is kind of racist. But there have been times where they're like, "All right, I pick this guy. I pick you," and I got to be like, "Oh, just so you know, like."
Oh, that happens in Brazil all the time. There's
Yeah,
black
and I'm
people who
like-
are expecting him to be amazing in basketball.
Yeah, and I have to be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, just so you know, like you should pick my white boy because he actually plays like he's played college. He's really really good." And they're like, "No, I pick you." And I'm like, "No, like I actually play soccer. Like I don't play basketball. Like I play it, but I'm average at best. Like I can run, I can jump, I can get the ball, but like I'm not good. And they're like, "No, we pick you." And then I get the ball and they're like, "Shoot it." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't shoot threes. Like I'm more of like in the paint, They're like, "No, just shoot it." And then I make it and I'm like, "God damn it." And they're like, "See? That's why we knew we picked him." And I'm like, "God damn it." I'm telling you, man, like I'm not good. And they're like, you lied, dude. You just made a 3. And I'm like, that's fucking luck, dude. And then like the game goes on and they're like, shoot again. And I made like 2 threes in a row and like I never make threes. And I'm like, oh, what the hell, dude? And they're like, see, I told you he was good. And I'm like, no, like I'm not good. Like this is completely luck, I'm telling you. And they're just like, nah, dude, we're gonna pick you up next game. And I'm like, so stupid. So that's happened to me where like I'm good, but I'm getting lucky, and then like they just think it's like pure skill, and I'm like, oh.
If you actually try to make those, you're gonna
Yeah,
miss,
the
but
next day
just
when they're not
because-
around, right? I take the same shot and it doesn't go in, just air balls, and I'm like, see, like they weren't here. They're like, oh yeah, this guy's really good, man. He passed him the ball, he like dunked it, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, man, like it's hard. It's hard life, definitely a hard life. Anyway, so there are definitely some good questions being asked. Let me check, make sure we're not missing any questions here. The opposite of when most people yeah, Nozar said, yeah, that's like the opposite of when most of us perform worse when other people are watching. Yeah, I have this weird thing where like if people are watching, I get really lucky, and then I'm just like, when people think I'm tight, and I'm like, oh, that was 100% luck. Like it actually happened the other day. I had soccer training. And we were doing crosses in the box. And so they would cross the ball into the box. And your job was to take it down one touch and then finish it in the corner. And I had like 5 in a row. Like they would cross the ball to me, hit my chest, like one time volley, upper V. Next one, like one touch, like lower corner. And they're like, damn, dude, Kalen's killing it right now. And I'm like, 100% guys, this is all luck. Like, I don't know what's going on like today. Like today, I'm lucky, but I'm telling you, this will never happen in a game.
I'm in the zone.
Yeah, this is 100% like I'm just getting very. I'm just having a good day. But ask me to do this in a game, no chance. Like you'll be disappointed. Like do not expect this. So now I know that like coming into training next week, they're gonna be like, "Yo, Kalen, where's that stuff at?" And I'm be like, "Dude, I told you not to expect this from me. Like I give you a fair warning that I am not that person." So hopefully we don't have any issues for that one.
By the way, I'm curious, how did the Kaling likes soccer started? Like, did you play when you were young, or
Oh yeah,
parents,
yeah.
or
I used to
college,
do.
school? Because I
My
know
brother.
maybe I'm wrong, but seems like it's not the most popular sport in America.
No, it's really popular. Just that people don't know
It
anything
is.
about America. Yeah, it's very very popular. A lot of people play it. Because you got to remember too, there's hella international people here. So I play soccer with a hell of Brazilians, like a lot of Brazilians actually.
Really? That's
Yeah,
cool.
because it's so I play with, like Kenyans, Brazilians, like Dominicans, like Latinos, like there's such like a melting pot here. So there's like hella soccer here. So yeah, there's it's a very very popular youth sport. It's just when you get to like the professional level, we don't have the training for it. You know, we don't have the academies and stuff like that. So that's why it's
Yeah.
kind of like youth. It's like really good. Anything after that, it's like really hard. So I played like all throughout since I was a kid. I played like competitively. I did like ODP, like it's Olympic development training. So I did like high level club and stuff like that in college. And then I just happened to do art. I just for some reason just chose to do art instead of trying to like be a professional player. So that's the reason why. But like my dad was a coach, my brother was a player. Like we all played like
No, that's
pretty
cool.
hardcore like all throughout our lives. So it's one of those things where it's like a part of my life. It's a part of like who I am. So
Yeah.
that's why like I play and I train a lot because I just enjoy like I just enjoy the grind of just learning. Same thing with dance. Like dance is kind of who I am as a little bit as well.
By the way, those videos were elite, man. Why you were like embarrassed?
Oh,
showing
because
that?
those aren't really that good compared to like
Come
the John Parks of dance. Like that's very very average, but I can definitely hold my own for sure. But
I
yeah,
don't
like
know
the
how
same
to do
thing.
like 10% of that. I'm so bad at dancing.
Yeah, so
Same.
but yeah, it taught me a lot of valuable things for sure. But yeah, dance is one of those things too. It's definitely a part of who I am. Like so then yeah, this is how I just got into it because I lived in Southern California. So then it's like really popular there. Like all these dance crews are there, and so then it's just naturally like easy to get into it. But yeah, like yeah, soccer. That's just like what my brother did. It's what I did. I used to work at a soccer shop, like you know, give cleats to little kids and stuff. Like that used to be my thing, man. That was like a part of who I am. So yeah, I'm not. So there's all that thing too. Like I've played with some like other like Europeans and like you know South American, and they're like, oh, he's American. He doesn't know how to play. And I'm like, all right, dude. Like that's what you want to think. And it's like we can play soccer too. It's just that professionally, like not so much. So yeah, I definitely can't wait to go to Brazil and like you know play some futsal or something like that, and you know ball with some friends. That sounds like a really fun time to me.
Have you ever been to Brazil or South America? I mean, you've been to Hawaii, right?
Yeah, I haven't been to Brazil, so yeah, I would like to. I missed that time when AJ did that workshop in Brazil, and
Who?
AJ, and it's AJ Tyson Murphy and
Oh,
Anthony
yeah.
Jones, Tyson Murphy, and everyone. They had that workshop in Brazil that we helped organize, but I couldn't go. I don't know what I was doing at the time, but I would have very much liked to have gone for sure. Like that would have been really really fun. But next time, I know I have too many friends in Brazil. I have like you, I have like Amanda and Gus. You know,
Yeah,
a
I
lot
know
of
them.
a lot of homies, a lot of students that I've taught over the years. So I have too many friends like not to go. So it will happen. I just need to just make it happen at some point after the thing. So I really wanted to go during the
Okay.
World Cup. That's when I wanted to really go. That's when I thought about
During
it.
what?
The World Cup, when the World Cup happened.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like me and
Oh
my
my
friends
God,
were
the
like,
World Cup. I mean, after the defeat to the German,
oh
I,
yeah,
we're kind of traumatized.
that was a
but
hate crime.
yeah, but
100%, like the country goes crazy with the World Cup. Like
Yeah,
everybody's, it's so cool. Like I honestly, I don't watch soccer at all. Our championships, we have a lot in Brazil. I don't watch any. I don't have any teams. I just like play for fun.
Oh,
But
I love the Nos Chapos.
the what?
Nos Chapos. It's that team that died in that airplane
Oh, okay.
accident.
But they're not. Okay, okay. I know the team. Oh, I forgot.
There's a really
I know
cool
it.
documentary about it. That's how I found out about
Yeah.
them, and that's like my favorite team now. My favorite Brazilian team is that like that story of them, like how they all died in the crash, but then like they kind of brought their team back from that. Like just like how it affected the whole town is like crazy.
Yeah. Uh, Chapecó, actually, it's how you say
Oh, okay.
it. Chapecó team.
Chapecoense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get a jersey from them actually. Uh, Maybe you can bring me one next time when you see me, because I would love to have one
Maybe.
of those jerseys.
Let me.
But yeah,
let me
that's
see.
that story is insane of how they survived and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and like only 4 survived that plane crash is nuts. Some crazy shit.
Yeah, the whole. I remember the whole country were like moved by
Yeah.
by the accident. Yeah.
Yeah, and that team went
But
on
yeah,
to
when
play
we have
Barcelona
World
and
Cup,
stuff.
like the country goes crazy. Everyone, like, there's no conflict. Everyone's just gathered together to cheer for Brazil, even though I don't think we're ever gonna be as good as we once were, like 10 years ago and 15 years ago with Pelé and that like Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, that generation. But
Oh yeah, for sure.
because
Roberto
soccer
Carlos.
is getting more complex, with all the technology, I guess. So it's less I don't know, but it feels like
Well,
it's less
strategies
about
evolve,
talent
strategies
and
evolve.
intuition, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those guys, like, they were rough. They were like just in their bones, in their blood. Football was running in their blood. It was magic, basically.
Yeah,
So
team strategy is really important nowadays. Like,
yeah,
yeah, strategies and formations are constantly changing versus just kind of individual skill. It can definitely happen though, like because
yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
you still need like a hooper. You call it
In-
like someone
Yeah, yeah.
that can just create something out of nothing. You still need those kind of people for sure.
We need Neymar to do something, man. Like, he's our biggest promise right now, I think. I mean, I know so little about football, soccer, I mean.
Hmm.
And but yeah, we're kind of waiting as Brazilians to him to do something big in one of those World Cups because he's still young, he's talented, but you know,
Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's see. 68 people in the stream. God damn! Thank y'all for coming through. That's awesome. That's
what
probably
about
all due to.
Natalia?
What's up?
Did she say anything else? Natalia, the Brazilian
Natalia, no, she didn't. I've been waiting for her to throw it. Actually, I could probably just click on her name. Actually, I'll probably just tell me right here. She's a graphic designer, and she's from Annapolis.
girl, Annapolis.
Annapolis. I don't know where that is. You probably know where that is. Annapolis.
I kind of know. Yeah, kind of. Brazil's too big. Actually, just Google it. I never went to the city and sing. Yeah, but I
Okay,
know.
yeah. So shout outs
Cool, cool.
to Natalia.
Shout out to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Annapolis. Is that like in the north or south? Where's that at?
It's kind of the center of Brazil.
Oh, okay. Wait, where do
Yeah.
you live in Brazil?
I live in São Paulo.
Oh, you
actually,
do?
the
Oh shit, you
countryside
live in
of
São Paulo? Dude, that's tight.
Yeah.
Man, yeah.
I wish I
at least-
lived actually in Curitiba with like Gus and
Yeah.
because it's a really beautiful city. It's kind of colder. Like the city I live in summer is so cold. It's so warm and like it's insane. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I live in São Paulo countryside. It's a good city.
Okay. Yeah. Well, at least now I know.
Small
when I-
city called Piracicaba.
How do
Can
you
you say it? Piracicaba.
Piracicaba. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh yeah. So
Piracicaba.
Piracicaba. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm looking it up right now. Oh, a lot of greenery, a lot of stuff out there. Looks nice to me. I'm down. All right. I'm gonna make a trip out to.
There's nothing much to do here, like
All right.
to see things, but
Once COVID
Brazil's
goes
big
down,
nature-wise, so
I'm coming through.
yeah. we can meet somewhere, some cool place. Man, there's so many cool places nature-wise to visit in Brazil.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Like,
the beaches and
you can show
beaches
me
are amazing.
the pink dolphin, the boto. We can go find that guy.
Yeah, we need to look for that.
Yeah, that's like my favorite. It's my favorite thing about Brazil. It's the random ass like folklore you guys have. These random stories and shit. So the boto is
Definitely
like
the
my
small
favorite.
cities then. Definitely the small cities like yeah, the small cities that still hold those cultural stuff as dear, you know, they have festivals and stuff. Those big cities they're kind of drifted off.
Yeah,
These like
the boto
very
is my
Brazilian.
favorite story because he wears like a fedora and shit when he turns into a
Yeah.
human. I'm like, what the fuck? It's so awesome.
It's so random, man. Like, what was? Man, those people were in mushrooms when they thought about those things.
Yeah, I remember Amanda explaining it to me in class one day when she was like my student, and I was just cracking up because the reason why that happened was because there's a company in America called the Pink Dolphin, and they sell like kind of urban clothing. So I had this shirt that said the Pink Dolphin on it, and she was like, so then I come to class and the video's on, and I'm like, hey, what's going on, guys? And she's like, why are you wearing a shirt called the Pink Dolphin? And I was like, I don't know, like it's like it's dope, like it's a company out here. I like their clothing. She's like, you know what that is, right? And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah. And she starts explaining it to me, and I was like, what? And I was like, she's making this up, right? And of course, there were like 3 other Brazilians in my class, and they were like, nah, what she's saying is true. Like, that's a real thing. And I was like, what? And then I looked it up, and so me and Amanda had this ongoing joke about the pink dolphin. Like, we always joke about it.
But the brand was related to Brazilian or
I
something.
don't think it
Brazil?
is. I don't think it is. I think like they just were like,
Completely
oh, the
random.
pink. It's completely random.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
100% not related to the pink dolphin, the boto, right?
That's funny.
You guys call it the boto, right? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
And
Boto cor-de-rosa.
And so what's even funnier about that is that boto is a Hawaiian term for pigeon slang, and it means dick.
No way.
Yeah. So like if I'm joking with my wife, I'm like, oh, you want boto, or like, oh, you got big boto. Like that's like the way you say it, and so that's why.
Oh my God.
So that's why when someone's like, oh, the boto, like my wife's like, what is she talking about? And I'm like, no. It's like it's a Brazilian thing. So it's just funny, like the cultural differences on like how.
Yeah. Oh my God. Next.
Right?
When I go to Hawaii, I make sure to.
Yeah, in Hawaii,
say
in
it.
Hawaii, don't say that. Don't be like, yo, you boto, like you're calling someone a dick.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so it's just funny that the amount of cultural things that I learned from teaching is really funny. So yeah, I can't wait to go to
because
Brazil.
your students are international, so
Mhm.
yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, so
That's
I can't
really
wait
cool.
to learn some more random.
But it's
things
hard to
from my
believe. I
students.
can definitely see you like that. They're messing with me because it's a hell of a story.
Yeah, so whenever I wear that shirt, like I just laugh to myself, or I'll take a picture and send it to her, and I'm like, look what I'm wearing. And she's like, oh, it's the pink dolphin. I'm like, dude, where's the fedora? So I'm like obsessed with this character. I'm like, do they sell shirts like touristy things? I'm like, because I want to get like a little toy or something, like, because it's so funny to me, like just that whole story.
I need to see if we can find something about that.
Yeah, totally send me something if that's the case. Dude. Okay. Let's see. No one replied. We're good. Cool. All right. We are coming to 2 hours and 20 minutes. Wow, that was actually in our attempt to just go like an hour and a half. We went an extra hour, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, when I joined you guys, it was already 1 hour, I think.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna go that long. I was just gonna kind of chill, but we were talking about some funny stuff today. So overall, it was cool. So, yeah, thank you guys for coming through. Thank you, Janelle. There's someone asking for a VPN recommendation. I don't know about that. I use AVG VPN. That's pretty good. Thanks, Natalia, for coming through. Thanks, Nosara, for coming through. Who else came through that was showing love? I think that was it. The people that were kind of talking today. But, yeah, do you got anything going on that you're trying to plug, Kevin? Are you good? You got anything you want to?
I'm good.
Okay, cool.
I need to join guys more.
Oh yeah, you're always welcome to join, dude. Anytime, bro.
Yeah, always welcome.
Anytime. Mike, anything you need? My boy Mike is single, right? It's Ty Dollar Sign. Anything else, Mike? You looking for a job too, right, Mike?
Looking for a job.
Looking for a job. My boy Keypalette, Michael's looking for a job, so let's plug that. If you haven't seen his work, let's go
Junior
look.
concept artist.
Junior concept artist. The man's got hella potential.
He is flying so fast, my
Flying
friends.
so fast, exactly. So
Yeah, he's going all the way up like
get on this now.
miles per hour.
He's like a cryptocurrency that's like it's about to blow up. You know, that's the way. That's the way that I kind of talk about it. So he's on his way up. Get in on it now before it becomes too expensive.
Fast, by the way.
Yeah, and he's fast. These ones are still my favorite right now. Bam! Look at these. This one I'm like, I was definitely not doing that like in as quick as you were. Like, this took me a long time to get to this level, and you're already like doing this, and you know 3D. Like, I just learned 3D like 2 years ago. So, yeah, this is my boy.
Nice.
Doing the damn thing.
I'm just doing my best. I'm trying hard.
My favorite though is this.
I'm working on another one from that building right now.
Oh yeah, freaking Machete over here. He's like, hey,
yeah.
Orderly, Holmes.
I didn't even know that. I don't know movies enough, so I didn't know that's what I grabbed.
Yeah, I was like, why is there like a Senegalese warlord next to Machete? I'm like, no wonder this guy's terrified. This guy's like, what's going on? He's Orderly, Holmes. And this guy's like, follow me. I know the way. And then this guy's just like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. So
yeah, I probably could have tied that better together. But
yeah,
I was just thinking like, it's America. Like, there's all types of people.
Now you know. Always got to keep the story consistent. You know, always keep the story consistent. Yeah. Cool. All right, so cool. I'm gonna save this. I think I made some good progress now. So check this out. Like, if you're looking at my stream,
yeah, I'm
like I went from here to. Hold on a second. I gotta group this. There we go. I went from this one, which was terrible, to this one, which was freaking terrible, to that, which actually makes some sense to me. So again, it takes a while to freaking get this shit right, and I only got a part of it right. So it took like a multiple attempts to kind of figure out like how I want to go about it. And now I gotta like go back and watch and be like, wait, how did I go about this? And I think I remember now. I kind of remember how I went about it. And now I just have to kind of keep exploring, though. I definitely have to keep exploring until I can figure out like a set way that like I really do like how I'm simplifying certain shapes and stuff like that. So it will take some time. But anyways, thank you guys for rolling through. It's definitely really, really appreciative. And again, thanks for Michael and Kevin for coming through and entertaining. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next stream. So yeah, take care, guys, and as always, peace